that button. So let me take a look at our project. Let's get my annotation tablet ready. There it is. Cool. Awesome. So again, kind of the main thing to think about this project. So this one I know was a bit much. It's a lot more. We've done a lot already. We have a little bit more to do still, actually. So that's what's going to be interesting about it. And part of this was, again, to do two things with this. One, well, actually, it was a bunch of things we were trying to do with this project. This project was going to introduce a bunch of new things, a bunch of new concepts. First off, of course, we have the game flow, building more complex objects with interfaces. And I still to this day have not done the abstract card class, and I'm a little annoyed myself for not doing that. We'll do that again. We might do that on Monday though, because that's not as necessary right now. So we might do that on Monday if we don't, unless we have time today. We might even do it today. We'll see. I want to get the multiplayer aspect done today if we can. But the other thing was was introducing the concept of interfacing massively. This is definitely the biggest way that I've ever seen of being able to make sure interfaces are a thing that makes sense. In a combination with the actor system and the deck system, you can see two real great ways of doing interfacing. I'm really benefiting from that. So introducing that concept of interfaces. What can definitely be done with these, and something that I don't go deep into, is the concept of like, anything is interfaces. All interfaces for almost any class. So almost every class has some sort of interface that you have this hot swappable capability with things. And that is an approach some companies and some people do. So do be aware of that. That for everything we have here, there could be a hand interface, because the hand itself is not a set in stone type of thing, especially with card games. Card game hands change via the game. Some games you have 5 hands, some games you have 5 cards, some games you have 2 cards. And in there, the cards mean different things depending on the game. And so that can be done at the hand or the game. We did put the value in our hand class. So that's one thing to keep in mind. We could always extract that into Blackjack to make that hand again generic again. Kind of how we made sure that the hand evaluated the value of the card, not the card itself. So our card is very much not a Blackjack card. Our card is straight up just a card. And so that's something else we could do. Take out of the hand the Blackjack specific items, and then hand could move into our deck or into a card game system to a different package. But my other big goal here was just introducing other types of composition, showing other types of ownership, other types of connections, other types of connections. And so my big thing here especially was that hand has a player concept. And this is where you kind of break from reality, where you use reality still to inspire your code, but you can also bend reality when you're working in the digital realm. And that's one of those things that can be really, really cool to kind of play with and kind of have fun with. But for those who were here in the morning, in the started class right away when we first started chatting, I did kind of make sure that bring up this new analogy to kind of make sure it's clear that when you're dealing with the digital world, there are these other connections that aren't so obvious. And my analogy, I'm not sure it's really, really clear. So you're in a parking lot. You see someone standing next to a car, and you're very able to say, hey, that person has a car. And you can see that, you can see the car, you can see the car through the person, you know what car is theirs through that person standing next to it, or even sitting in it. And that's what we're used to. That's our concept. However, in the digital realm, we can make more connections because we can connect those things. So even the car, like in the physical realm, I see another car by itself, no one's there. I see that car, and there's no way for me to access the person through that car as a human, right? I can't say that car has it, even though I know the car has a human, I can't connect to it. I can't get it without the human connection. I need to go find the human, be like, hey, where's your car? What car is yours? And have the human, the owner, tell me. And so as a human, that's our mentality, that's our physical realm. We can only know whose ownership of something through that other person. We can only access those things through that person. Same thing if any of you wanted to go to someone's house. If you wanted to get into the house that's locked, you have to find the owner and get the key from them in order to get in. Even though in the digital realm, a bank or a mortgage provider or the government or someone can find who the human is through the object. And so the house does have an owner. The car has an owner. In the digital realm, we can detect that through this inanimate object. We can ask the inanimate object who their owner is and get to it through that way. And this is where that's like change through that stuff is.
Isn't it the same thing as you were saying? Isn't it the same thing as if the car door was open, I can actually go and look at the registration and know who owns it?
If the registration's in the car, yeah.
Yeah.
So if the person who owns the car decides to leave the registration in the car, and that would mean that they have a public registration.
Yeah.
But if the car is kept on the person or is again under a lock in the car, it's still considered a private item that you cannot access. That would be a private field. So, but even then, that's the thing. The idea is that I can still only get the car's owner through this registration object, not the car itself, even though the car has an owner. But like I said before, the car does have an owner, and the company, like the police have it, or the DMV has the connection to the human through the car. If you give the DMV the VIN number, or which is actually etched onto the car, so the VIN number is probably the better option than the license, because I could argue the license similar to the registration. But with the VIN number itself, I can find out who owns that car. They can find out, and they could provide a ticket. If you run through a red light and get a picture taken of your car, they're not looking at the person in the driver's seat. They're connecting it to the owner of the car, right? And so they're going, hey, car.owner, let's send them a bill. And so that's the other thing I wanted to make sure I introduced in this concept, is that idea where our human only mentality is not the only thing we do nowadays. We can speak to inanimate objects in a way. We can ask inanimate objects, what are you connected to? What's your owner? What else do you have that a car couldn't necessarily, that an inanimate object couldn't necessarily tell us? This entire project can be built with a player has hand connection. 100%, totally can be. So that's something that I do want to make sure it's very clear. I wanted to go this route just to showcase that other concept, so that you can build applications and systems and things like that that don't necessarily have a human element, that don't have an owner that is human-wise, or to also understand that a post can have a human, can have a user. Instead of just saying the user has posts, you can also say a post on a blog or a website has a user. And so we can see that differentiating composition. So that's another thing that I want to make sure. I probably didn't explain that enough, which is something I didn't think of. Because for me, like I've done a lot of projects now that this concept that a inanimate object can have a human, or that things can have things, doesn't really matter. Like the way I look at these things now, the player is no different than the hand in my mentality anymore. And my goal, of course, was to kind of help to kind of fit that a little more by using a dealer and one other artificial intelligence class, because those are not interactive creatures. Those are not necessarily people anymore. Those are just entities in the digital realm that follow code. And so I think this whole way we built this system is going to make a huge amount of sense today as we deal with the hands a little more now that we're going to deal with multiple hands. And we'll see why one of the benefits of the hand owning the person will benefit from. Like I said, you can totally create this the alternate way if you definitely want to. So I think I'm going to actually attempt to do it without the player list this time, to really push home that concept that we don't need the players, we just need the hands. So I'm going to attempt that. We'll see. We may still need this just to keep track of how many players are in the game.
Oh, I forgot we put that in, actually. I didn't need that.
Well, yeah, the thing, more comfortable try to accomplish without the player list. The thing is, what I will say is that if I go without the player list, I would need to keep track of how many players are in it, so I know how many hands minimum I need. So that's going to be the key item there. But we're going to give this a shot today to see if we can do it without the player list. So, yeah. So is that. So I'm going to do that. That's going to be kind of cool. And with this final process, what we're also going to do, and what we're going to be able to do, is on Monday, especially, we're going to be kind of reviewing this project from the beginning, going through each of the objects, double checking how they connect. I'm going to try something called a mind map. I'm going to see if that helps people. We're going to have each package be like a main hub that have these things connected and show how they interact with each other, show how they interact with how they connect, how they work together. So I'm going to make sure that this project makes more sense to you guys. And the last thing I want to say, and just to clarify, double check what we went through. I realized the last couple of days I forgot to go back to the plan of attack as often as I was, to showcase we were staying fairly connected to it pretty aggressively still. So we'll be doing that the next couple days, because next week it's all prep for the project. And so the last thing I want to say before we get into the code is, for the weekend, your main goal of the weekend is to start kind of deciding the project you definitely want to work on and the backup one. So you want to have 2 projects that you want to work on out of the list of 4. The goal of that is that at the end, I want to be able to, as I put people in as we split up into the teams, I want to see what the numbers are. And so that way, like I said, if there's one group that is fairly small, we can allow them to kind of switch over if they want to. That's why it's good to have a backup.
Crazy 8s and crazy 7s.
That'd be funny.
Oh, can we do slapjack?
Or know that one.
You put down the card, and then when a jack comes down, you're
Just
supposed
slap
to
it.
slap the jack when it.
I'm not sure how you would do that per se.
Speed, yeah. It's
Since you don't really have a way to have two players play at the same identical time.
You need an RNG, I think. It'd just be like rolling 2 dice, and whoever's the highest number has initiative.
Yeah, you would have to play human versus
It would just
PC
be
at all
whoever
times.
gets the
Yeah.
jack.
It's
Basically,
really a
whoever,
simple
whoever
game.
ends up with
Yeah.
the jack would win.
Yeah,
There's that, or
it's a
I
fairly
guess you,
simple game though. There's like almost no logic to it.
Right.
You're putting down cards, and every time you take the cards, and anybody who has the most cards at the end wins.
there you go. That one you would have to have some sort of user interface, and you'd have to have some sort of socketing system, not
Yeah.
to mention a timing capability. I guess you could do player versus PC, player versus computer, where that when the jack goes down, the computer generates a reaction time randomly, and as long as you hit it, as long as you responded in time, it'll take it.
Look at that. He's making it more complicated.
I remember one of you, I don't know who it was, but someone here dealt with like timing on their previous card game or something like that, or one of their projects. Was it like the car or something like that?
it
Yeah, the
was
car.
Freddie.
Yeah,
Freddie.
that car.
Thought so, yeah.
Freddie.
Yeah, being able to time how long from a certain point till a response was submitted. So you could do that, but nah, we're not gonna get into that. And again, as you said, there's no decision factor, so I don't know what kind of
Yeah,
other
there-
AI you could put in. You're not deciding anything because if you ever actually played against a real computer, none of us would ever win. You have to handicap the computer player, period, to play that. So
I was playing an online version of Uno, and it had like you had to say Uno before anyone else called you out on it by clicking on it. So
yep.
I don't know if there would be a way to implement that with what we're doing, but
In this system, no, because again, the multiple players aren't playing together. So maybe in your instance, you have the UI, each player has their own button they could hit so on the keyboard. But I don't think it can be done because again, the players are waiting their turn. The only thing is you can make sure that there's an option to say Uno before they put the card down, so that they hit it and then they put it down. And if they don't, the next player can just call them, period. There's no way for them to cover themselves. So I guess you could put it in, but I'm not caring for that on that part. On that part of Uno, I don't really care. You can get everything else going, and that's impressive enough as it is. So all the other aesthetics of Uno is good enough. Always got to remember the MVP of like what items of Uno make Uno Uno. And especially nowadays, it's definitely the reverse card nowadays. I think it's become memed like hell. So, we got some time. Like I said, next week, Monday and Tuesday. Like I said, Monday, we're gonna review this. You guys are gonna let me know what project you want to work on. Monday and into Tuesday, and Tuesday's class is all gonna be plan of attack and playing the game. So either Monday night or Tuesday during class, you'll get to play the game that you're in. So you and your team, and you're in your team, you get to play it. You'll then compare that against your team plan of attack. You'll do your plan of attack from Tuesday into Wednesday. On Thursday, you'll meet up to review the plan of attacks, review with your classmates to kind of make sure there's nothing that you forgot or anything that seems like, oh, you know what they pointed out is really a good idea. I should add that to mine. That actually makes sense. I forgot about doing that in my program. So that's one of those other main reasons why I want to make sure that the teams have enough people in it so that you all can benefit from each other and make sure you don't forget anything in your code with the plan of attack. Like if you forget a certain process, a certain flow. So you have that support in it. And then from there, on the first weekend, you make your first project where you're kind of getting the basics going, like cards, hands, things like that. Maybe even start getting into actors and stuff like that. Monday being the first kind of stand-up meeting, we get to talk about where you are, what you're working on, what's the next goal. And this time I want to say, you guys are going to be in your class as a team, and I'm going to come in before the team meetings end to ask you all, what is your goal for the weekend for the team? So the team gets to set their checkpoints of what they're trying to do in the next class. I'll be there to evaluate that's not enough or that's too much to try to complete. So that's going to be my task when I come in, is to evaluate whether or not I think your goal is either too aggressive and so we need a backup just in case that's too much to do, or that's not enough. What is your stretch goal?
Mm-hmm.
So those are going to be the things that I come in to do. So you'll come up with one goal, and then I'll let you know if it's too high of a goal that you need to back up, like a short goal for check-in and a stretch goal if it seems like it's too easy to get. Make sense?
Mhm.
Cool. And so that's how we're gonna change this one up a little bit, because last time I give you guys your standard and stretch goals. This time I want you guys to try to do that, because again, I'm trying to release more and more of my control into you guys, where you now are making more and more of the decisions and the project's becoming more and more your project. And that's the goal of this. Again, like last time, this will let us know what parts of the most recent lessons did we get and what parts did we not get. Do I have to touch base a little bit more before we jump into Spring Boot, or as we start into Spring Boot? So don't look at this project as a, if I fail, I'm out. Look at this project as a showcasing of what you know and a challenge to yourself to be like, all right, make sure I got these. So sound good?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, let's get into it. Let's
Before we move on, Cliff, I do have a quick
go
question.
for it.
Is there any
Let's do
reason that the fields in table do not have any access modifiers?
Why do they not? You're right. I didn't realize I didn't. Huh. They definitely should be private. I thought they were. We'll be doing that today. Thanks for that.
Just by default, fields do have a little bit of security. It's
Yeah.
I think like private, public.
They're, we said that they're like the middle ground between private and public, or protected and public. Like they're not
Yeah.
fully public, but they're also not private either.
It's package
Or,
public,
yeah, I
right?
think they're package
so.
protected.
Yeah.
Package protected. Okay.
Could be
Package
that. Yeah.
protected, yeah.
Isn't that the same thing as what do you? I don't know.
What
Is there
I
a difference
think
between protected and package protected?
Yeah.
I believe package protected doesn't require inheritance. So there's right. I believe protected is inherited as well. Package
Okay.
protected is just package in general. So it's some more
Okay.
testing I got to do to make sure I confirm exactly how they work. There's more testing I want to do to really test the scopes of each of those security items that I know of. Yeah, there's
believe-
definitely.
Protected, they can be accessed in the same package or a subclass of that class.
Okay.
And then package protected, they can be accessed within broader packages. And I think that's the default when you don't put in the access modifier for it.
Okay.
Let's do git checkout. Well, this is the hands class, because now we're getting into hands, not multiple. Do that. Let's go ahead and make these all private now. They definitely should be. All right, it's fine. It's all good. Except for this one, these static values, I do like them as public. And what? Public, static. So these are useful. Public static int and final. Public static final int. So these are really useful because then this is a value of the Blackjack table. This is a generalized item for Blackjack in general that if I want to access this outside of it, I can just do table dot bust value, just like we did below with the hand dot action or actor dot action. I could have accessed this through hand, of course, done hand dot actor dot quit or something like that, but I didn't want to do another pass through. So I was just able to pull up the actor class. I also did it somewhere else. Where was it? I did one with hand. There it is. Here they are. So for the determine winner, and I could have done active hand or player dot normal pay, but this way we just access it through the hand interface or through the hand class itself, instead of having to access it through the instance. So instead of accessing it through the instance, I just access it through the class itself. So
right.
Yeah, could have done player dot normal pay in this if I wanted to, but this is just a nice way of being able to just say, hey, the hand in general, not any specific hand. So, and whatever the interesting thing about this is that if you did switch this to that, then your certain actors, or if you did actually create a hand interface, you could have your hand do certain hands have certain payouts. So if you did actually expand on this, make a hand interface and have different hands for different players, the payout fields can be different because we know that our normal pay, our push pay is a 0, so it just pays out, and the 1 is the normal pay. So we could also switch this to rates, to the pay rate, because I didn't even think of that. We just did this as a simple 0 and 1. What I could have done instead is simplify this as a case thing, just do add balance, and then the amount be bet times, and then the actual this item. So push pay would be 1, normal pay would be 2.
Ah,
And so it would do bet times 1, bet times 2, blackjack. So later I'm going to add that here. The payout of blackjack would be 2.5. And so we would need a case statement instead, so we could switch that. But I can worry about that. 'Cause then I would need a double. Yeah, bite wouldn't can't do 2.5. So just be aware of that.
Well, for 2.5, couldn't you just do normal pay plus push pay?
Wouldn't that be 3 though? So I would get 2 times 2 plus a full one. So wouldn't that be 3x?
Yeah, probably.
That's yeah. Yeah, we need some way of getting a half of the bet. This should be 1.5. So yeah, if you bet 100, you're supposed to get 150 back as a winning. So 250 total. I don't know any other way of getting the 50 other than a half. So, but all good. Again,
Well, to
don't
do
even think
that,
about.
then you would just have to do like you normally do with all the cents. You would have to, expand
Mhm.
that out. It would be right.
That's something we could do later on. So that's another way to expand on this some more. Turn these into the rates of pay instead of being the what kind of time, what it is. And then yeah, you could have multiple hands with different payout fields. And so you could change the payout fields of one being lucrative. You could have a lucrative hand or a gold hand or something like that. And then you get up to real fun to just saying, hey, every time you get a hand, you have the chance of getting a gold hand, which has double payout. So have some fun with your game. So we'll still do. There's a lot of things you can do with this stuff, which is really cool. But let's move on to this. So we're not going to remove the player item just yet. I want to make sure I have my players list on my hand and player list active. And then I want to remove this so that when I know where I need to, so that it can tell me where I need to make changes. The second I comment this out, I'm going to get a bunch of red lines that tell me, hey, these are the spots where I need to update my code to handle multiple. And so this line of code is actually really, really useful for me in this case. And that's something I didn't say tell you guys on Tuesday, because wondering if you would figure that out. This line right here is going to be very helpful for me in figuring out where my code needs to be updated. And just a quick showcase of that. As soon as I comment it out, we're going to see I have 12 errors now. And I can move that out of the way. So there's 12 locations here that is using that item, so that like all these spots where it's now red, it's everywhere I need to update my system to handle the multiple players. So that's going to be very useful for us later. So let's see, to handle multiple players, what does our game need to deal with now? So to handle multiple players, what do we need to, what's kind of the process we need to do to play the game now?
I think they'll do like the turns.
Multiple turns now. Players. /star. What'd you say? So we need to multiple turns.
Yeah.
What else? So first thing we need to do when we have multiple players.
You got to add players to the list.
Add players to list. Add players. List. What else we need?
Figure out who goes first.
We could probably just do that as they're in the order they're entered. Yeah, order. Figure out order.
Probably need a prompt of some sort of how many players.
Yeah. Ask many players. And we definitely have to do that. And then of course we know that our players need names, but we can always start with like player X. So player 0, 1, 2, and 3, or player X plus 1. So we get player 1, 2, 3, 4. So we don't need to ask them for their names. So if we want to skip that in the console system, we can totally do that. And that way we just have to ask how many players there are. So we can definitely get away with that. That probably might be nice for us to kind of make our code simpler, right? You want to just do that for the moment instead of having to figure out again more asking of names and all that fun stuff. So ask how many players. So this actually probably goes before the order. Yeah, figure out the order of how the players are playing, and again, we probably just do them in numerical order. Player 1 first, all the way up to player X, whatever it is. We do have to handle multiple turns. What else? Anything else?
I could take multiple bets.
Multiple bets. And last but not least, I'll give this one for you guys. Multiple wins potentially. All right.
Oh, there's multiple winners. I didn't consider
Yeah.
that.
That's that.
Mhm. Every single player has a chance to beat the dealer, or lose. Multiple winners or multiple losers, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, there's multiple people who have to decide whether or not they win or lose. Multiple hands in this case too. And this is where, again, this is where I feel like in the winning section is definitely where I also feel that the hands list with owner of players benefits a little more. But again, in this whole thing, you're gonna realize, and I want to make sure it's very, very clear, both of these systems can do hands have player or player has hand. We can definitely create the game in either direction. For me, though, I just feel like, for me, and I'll explain later, once we build all this, I'll explain some areas where I feel like the hand has player benefits a little more from the player has hand. So I'll point those out later once we have it built, and I'll point the spots in the code where having the reverse would make the code a little more complex. So I will admit that part of this, I realize that part of me knowing that hands is better is because I've experienced it, and you guys might not see it yet. And so as I build it, what we might end up doing actually is over the weekend, having you guys try to identify the spots where a player list where a player has hand might be more complex. And so I want you guys to kind of think critically on that and see if you can find the spots that might be more complex to help. So that way later on in the future, you can try to evaluate your configurations a little better. Because again, I'm not sure exactly how to help you guys realize that hands should have player during the planning phase. I don't know if I really showed that enough or explained enough why that should come to you. So I want to make sure that's clear. All right. So first thing we need to do is be able to get that going. So we definitely need this part here first. So this part here. And I don't think that fits in the play round system, probably. No, I don't think every round we need to ask how many players, right? All right. So what should we create here? What method are we needing? Public. Any ideas what it should be called?
Add players.
Could do add players, but oh, that's where Jeremy Dalton dropped. His Wi-Fi died. I wouldn't say this, we're only adding players here. What are we kind of doing by adding the players? By adding the players and getting and asking how many players there are, what are we really doing for the game?
Setting it up.
Running the game.
What's that?
Are we not running the game?
Running the game, setting it up, however you want to call it. Both doesn't mean kind of work, right? Yeah. So we could even do play game and have it run like a setup and then play round. So, and that's probably actually a good idea, but we'll do, yeah, we're probably gonna end up creating both actually. So we'll start with setup. That's definitely what we're doing here.
Would it not be a good idea to put it in the constructor for this class?
It's something that we can think of, and that's one of the things that I'm not actually confident yet if asking things in the console is a common thing to put in the constructor in a corporate environment. But so that's something I am not confident in. But you know what, let's do that. That's fine. Public table. In this case, we're going to do scanner.
Well, why would we need a scanner if we already have?
How many players? Oh, wait, get in.
Yeah.
We have that already. I see what you're saying. Thank you for that. We don't need it. You're right. We need int player count equals. So dot get int. Our min, at least one prompt first, right? Because we changed that yesterday. So the prompt first is going to be how many players. Our min, at least one player, so that we can at least play the game the same way we've been playing for. With a max of how many? How many people are we going to allow at our table?
4.
All right, we can do 4. I think
I
the
was
max-
calculating
I
all
think
this. Well, I was calculating all this today.
I was thinking, what's the normal number at a blackjack table? I think it's more than 4. I think
I
I
it's
was,
just
six.
I mean, I was
23.
picturing it too. It's like a half a thing. It's like a half a circle, right?
I
And
was
you
gonna say, I
have
think
to
it's
do it-
8. It's
Well,
it's
you
either
can
6 or
see-
8. It's 6 or 8.
Could be 24.
Well, see, with one deck though, I was calculating this with one deck. The maximum split it in half. Then you won't be able to to do anything. 4, I think if you went down to 10 players, you could have like all of them can have 5-card Charlie, but you won't have any more cards left.
So at 10 players plus the dealer, or 10 players including the dealer?
Including the dealer.
10 players, you can have everybody with 5 cards.
I believe so. I think, yeah, because
That
that's,
does make sense, because that would be
No,
50
no,
cards.
I would-
Yep,
no,
that would be
I-
50 cards.
yeah, no, I was like thinking about all this today.
Yeah.
Like I was breaking it all down by math, like what's the,
Yeah.
and I think
Oh,
4.
I'm saying, yeah.
like, right.
That's
but
why I'm like, so not to ignore you, Freddie, but that's why your 12 and 24 are not being selected, because we don't have
30.
cards to handle that.
I was looking
So-
at a blackjack table on Google, and it's a table with like with 7 spots plus the dealer.
Yeah, just
7
make
plus
more
dealer.
decks.
Ah,
Yeah, and then
that,
also
but I
it's,
wanna get into
it's
that.
$124 if you're interested.
it's $24 if we want to buy one. There we go.
You want to get
Thanks,
one.
Sergio. That could be an interesting Twitch streamer. There you go. You just go on Twitch and you have each of the hands there, and people can just play. Anyway, so yeah, I would say, well, we could definitely do 4. I wouldn't go any higher than 7. Yeah, like for what Sergio said, if a normal blackjack table is 7 plus the dealer, that would put 8 people in the game. That still lets us go above 5 cards, but yeah, no, the max would definitely be 10 on that, or 9, since we would have to include the dealer, and that would be, yeah. And if you wanted to do that, you'd have to put the 5-card Charlie requirement on there, so that if the person has 5 cards, their turn is over, or that hand is over. And again, now we have to also worry about splits. So also
Yeah.
keep that in mind. So yeah, 6 or
Yeah,
7
that
would be the
that
max
was
I would
the-
do.
Yeah,
So-
that was the one thing I was thinking about splits too, because if you had a split and both had 5-card Charlie, that's like 10 cards right there for one
Yes,
person.
I would say 4 to 6 would be the max I would allow in this system, until you implemented a system that allowed for multiple decks. Right now, we're using a standard 52 card deck, so we have to be aware of that. Make sure we have enough cards that every player could split. So in this case, I guess I could argue then the player of 4 allows every player to have 2 splits, and still gives us 2 additional splits that we can afford, and still not run out of cards. So sound good? We want 4 or 6. What are we thinking? Or 5 or 4? 4, 5, or 6.
Well, the other big question is, how much time and you're gonna run through all 6 players?
I never said I was going to enter 6 people. I never said I was going to type that into the console. I'm just saying, what is our system going to allow?
6.
What's that?
6. So if you want to play with 4 or 5, you can, but also
Yeah.
have the option.
Exactly. That's the way I was looking at it. So we can put the 6 there. Doesn't mean we're actually going to test it ourselves. If 3 people work, we know the 6 is going to work. So we only have to test like 3 people or 2 people. As long as there's 2 additional hands, I can make that logical reasoning that if 2 people can, if I can handle 2 hands, I can handle 6 hands. So that's kind of the idea. An error message. Now the player selection works for me. I'll go with that. Cool. So that gives us player count. Get that. Awesome. What else we need? So we need to get how many players, and then here we go here, add players to the list. And so what we're going to do here is, I'm trying to debate if I want to start with the player list and then try to remove it later, just to see if we can remove it. So I'm thinking I'm going to bring the player list in first, that way it's easy to follow what's going on and how the system's working. Then the goal that we see later on, can we remove the player list later? We need to have that player list, or can we do something later? So we're definitely going to add them to the list, and we're also going to create their hand as well. So we're actually doing 2 things here. We're going to create the player, add them to the list, but also give them their main hand. So let's do that. We can do 4. And why am I using 4 this time? Or what 4 am I using actually?
Why would we use 4?
That's the question. Yeah. Why am I going to use 4 to loop through that, to make sure I create X number of players? I need to create a certain number of players. So why am I going to use 4 to make that many players? And which 4 am I going to use?
Well, when you make them, the end result is to push them, not push them, but put them into the players list, right?
Mhm.
So we could just do a while loop.
Could do while. Well, what?
While players dot size is less than player count.
Not right yet. Player count. 2. All right, and then the code here, we're gonna do, I guess, we can't do player right now, so, well, I can't do player, right? Or I can't, yeah, I can't, because it'll be there's this player, and then we got the local player, so player. New player, okay. In this case, we're just gonna do a simple, what is it? Now I need to get the number. How am I gonna get the number here?
That's what good for the for loop. The for loop, you can go through the index and just
Yeah.
add the
Could do
index.
that. Now, now I could still do it. I can do
Yeah.
player size, players dot
That's
size plus
plus
one.
one.
Is there any issue with this?
Yeah, because the size is going to change as it keeps going, right?
Which is fine, yeah. We haven't added it yet, so this is 0 plus 1, and then the next pass through, it'll be
Oh.
1 plus 1 equals 2.
Yeah.
Any other reasons why this is getting a little bad? Any ideas?
When you regulate, when the whole turn is done, you want to go back to the first player. You have to reset it.
Not quite.
When someone leaves the game,
There is that
it's gonna
potential,
mess
but
this.
yes and no. Not really, because player count isn't being saved anywhere. And if someone does leave the game, the player size goes down, but the player names stay the same. So this only happens during the one time. We create a variable with it. What is this? Look at this item here. We have this item, and then let me just do this quick for
Well,
2
isn't player
seconds.
size is 0 because?
Hold on. I want to give you guys an idea. I want you to evaluate 2 things. So private. Yes, all right.
Don't you gotta put a number in the on the other end over there? How many are in the
Oh yeah, I do. Or I can just do this.
it's in the brackets though. Okay. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
right.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Yep, there you are.
Yeah.
So now I got player side. Let's say I wanted to get how many are in nums. What's the code for that again? Nums dot what?
Length.
Length.
So what's different about these two?
One's a
One's for a list and one's for an array.
That is a very basic understanding of it. What's the other difference?
one's a method and the other is that a property?
Yeah.
It's a field, right?
It's a field. Okay.
Yeah. One's a method and one's a field. Any reasoning, what's the difference between the two? What's the difference between a field and what's the difference between a method?
A method has to be run, but a field has
So
a
if
field
we
has
had
an
to-
association.
if we had to take a guess, what is more efficient for the computer?
A
What is
field.
more efficient?
A field.
Because a
Field,
method
right?
has to be run.
Yeah.
Right, so method has to be run. So there's definitely some logic going on with size with that. So can we see another benefit where the for loop may be a little better than what we're doing right now? Because how many times are we evaluating this method now?
Every single time we run the loop.
Not just every single time we run the loop, but every single time we also evaluate the loop. Every time we run the conditional now, we're also running this dot size as
Oh.
well.
Okay.
So while fine when just being run once, the second we need it more than once, we can see a slight performance benefit by using the for loop, because now we're just setting a variable, which is similar in performance to a field. It's just a static number.
Mhm.
And so we're not really evaluating the number. We're not really processing the number. We're just evaluating the number. So there's a slight difference there. And so I was actually kind of hoping that, I almost forgot about this now, but I'm actually glad you brought this up, because yeah, it's good to see, well, this is nice. It's a nice concept. It's also good to be aware of that it can be a little more costly depending on what we're doing inside the loop. So since we are going to be accessing more than once.
Sure.
Yeah, this is actually the one time we're do.
Yeah.
And
So that would be that'd be perfectly fine if we weren't also evaluating size within the body of the for loop.
Exactly.
Or the while
Yep.
loop rather. Yeah. Okay. Just making sure I understand where we're going with that.
It
didn't
should be
do a
for
for.
instead of while, right?
You didn't do the for over.
Oh, thank you. I'm like, why is it yelling at me? Still, this is yelling. Okay, there we go. Yeah. It's like, why is it yelling at me? All right,
But
there we
on
go.
line 38, instead of saying player, new player, would it make more sense to just say players.add?
Yeah.
Yes and no. You're gonna see why in a second. I
Okay.
already know we're
Okay.
gonna need this twice, but yeah, it's fine. Let's do it. I know we're gonna need it a second time, but let's do
Oh.
it. Let's do it. This is actually where I want you guys to do this. So yeah, this is actually good because I even remember sometimes that I may know something, but you may not. So yes, we'll do it this way. So players.add, we have the player. What else do we need to do though with the player?
You need to get the bet.
Nope.
Need a hand.
They need a hand, right? They need
Oh.
they need their hand. Now, it is something we could build at the beginning of each round, give every player a hand. We could loop through the player list. But I'm also preceding this with the idea that I don't want to have to, if I'm trying to avoid using the player list as much as possible so that I can change it later to see if I need this. So by adding a hand to the player list, to the hand list already, I don't need to access the players list later on, so I can see if I can remove it. So this is a test for myself. If you don't do that, it's not a big deal. I'm doing this now because I want to test, do I need this players list, right? So now I'm going to do this again. Player, I'm also going to do hands.add and new player name. Why is it yelling at me?
Because you have to say that you're putting in a
Oh,
new
I'm just
player.
right. I just need the player. My bad.
Yeah.
I don't want the name. I want the actual object.
There you are.
Whoops.
You
There
forgot
we
a
go.
semicolon on line 38.
Oh, yep. Thank
Oh.
you. Jim's a hawk for that. I definitely rely on him for my semicolon missing. So hands out add. And so now we have that. So now we got a player added to the list, and we also added to our hands array. So this way we can see, do we need that players list later on? Do we actually need this, or can we do our code without it? If we decide we're going to keep the players list, you definitely don't need to do this because you can always just add for each player in the player list, create a hand for each round. So you can always create a new hand each round for each round. But since we're going to try to see if we can get rid of this, I'm going to do this now. Make sense?
Mhm.
Do we want to see it the normal way first, where we don't try to code this with the goal of getting rid of players, or are we okay doing it this way?
So basically, you're gonna be handing out all the cards. Well, oh wait, oh no, you're just generating a new
New hand. Yep.
with nothing in it. So
Nothing in
okay,
it.
all right, I understand now.
Yeah. The goal is to avoid the players array. I have it there in case I need it. My goal moving forward is to never use the players array and just use the players list and just use the hand list. That's going to be the target of what we're going to try to do. So we have this, again, our order can just be the order that the hands are in the hand array. So now we get to do multiple bets.
Didn't
Well,
you
that sounds
do
like
that already?
what's that?
Didn't you do that already?
Do what?
Because if you look down, the way that you created the player,
Mhm.
you did hand player equals new hand, new player,
Right here, yeah.
console. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's up. Yeah,
No worries. I
So
realized
you-
what you were going for. Yeah, I knew it was up. So I got you.
yeah. So you already creating like the player in the hand. So
Correct.
you really don't need the list.
Well, that's the thing. At the same point, we're trying to figure out, well, what happens on the second round. So how do we make sure that we have only the hands, one hand for each player? Because let's say in one of the rounds, a player splits. So now we have an extra hand in our hand array. What's the technique to removing those extra hands? How do we handle that? Is that something we can do? And so these are those things that you have to wonder about and just think about. Oh, I have the hands. Maybe I don't need the players list because I can just create the hand and add the player there and just put them in the hand list, and then we're good. Or is this going to be a problem later on where how do I clear the hands? How do I reset the hands? Do I have the ability to reset the hand? Do we? So this is one of those things that you can work on, and also questioning how you're going to do something. And this can help you to know what you're missing, what you might need. And so you're going to see this as we move forward. So it's going to make more sense the more we move forward. We might still need this, maybe not. We might need this. We might need only this. We may also, who knows, maybe in the end, we'll switch to player has hand, which would be a massive amount of change, but maybe we do that. But for the moment, let's keep moving forward with this, keep moving forward, always with the assumption of I can always remove this later if I realize I don't need it.
But you're not gonna add dealer to the list.
No, because the dealer is going to be always last, and they're still kind of, and they want to have them a little bit special for us to keep things safe. We never want the dealer to accidentally go before the split hands. So, and I don't want to have to try to splice the new split hands in, which of course, again, that is something you can do in your advanced version, in your own version time of this, in your own version. I'm keeping it separate just to keep my sanity. I only want to deal with the players first in a hand list. I can, if I ever want to add the dealer to the hand list later, I can. I'm just doing it one at a time. So this is, again, that small incremental step. I know that the single player can be handled by multiple players. Since we do have the players and the dealer be the same class, maybe I can put the dealer in the same spot, but one thing at a time.
Because I was doing it and I was kind of a little, I got the players working and then became with the dealer, and then the dealer was like separate. So it ended up kind of not jiving with the rest of the code because it was like one individual outside the whole list kind of thing, but we'll see.
You'll see how it works fine. Yeah, you'll see it works okay with this. It'll make sense, we go. Yeah, so there's a bunch of things we're still gonna have to tackle with today. So yeah, if you're thinking about certain things, it's all good. Have those things in mind. You want to think those things. Well, how is this gonna work? Have those questions. When I am telling you we're gonna do it this way, and you're questioning it, keep that question to be like, my questioning of this is wrong. No, it's good to have those questions. You're gonna have, because those questions are gonna pop up no matter what decision you make. You're gonna question your decision. And whenever I'm making a project, I have to, the main thing is I do have to decide a path at some point. And there's never a path that I'm like 100% confident this is gonna work. I wanna make sure that everyone here understands that, by the way. There's never a path the very first time I try to create something that I'm like, this is gonna work perfect no matter what. I'm like, I'm confident this is gonna work. This sounds like the best path right now, the best thing that I've come up with. Let's do it. But then as I go through, it either successfully works and I'm not happy, like, yay, it worked out the way I was expecting, or it goes completely off the rails. I'm like, okay, yep, this is not great, but I think I can work with it, or I got to reset.
Look, I would love to see you code a project that you've never coded before from scratch, just to see your process. I think that would be awesome, though. Like, clearly, you know what you're doing. Like, it wouldn't be that bad.
Could be. We'll see if we have time for it. Well, I will say right now, I don't have a project pre-planned for Spring Boot. You guys are actually the first people I teach Spring Boot to myself. So we might do that then. Maybe we'll come up with the Spring Boot group project that I walk you guys through together, and you'll see kind of my process going through it. So maybe we'll do that.
I thought you never taught a Spring Boot, did you?
Nope.
I had to learn it myself, huh?
Yup.
Oh, that was fun.
So, yep. This will be the first time I actually teach Spring Boot. But what we used to do, and I did like it, but I'm just trying to figure out, you know what, that can be a little slow, takes a little time. What I used to have you guys do is everyone in the class would pick a topic for Spring Boot that you would teach. So every student would be a teacher for a day.
Yeah.
Which on one hand, I did like it, but on the other hand, it can sometimes give mismatched instruction, of course. So it's not always the best instruction. Not everyone here is going to be good at instructing. And everyone knows that that's not a guarantee that everyone here is going to be a pinnacle teacher and be able to explain things right. So on one hand, while I liked it, on another hand, it can be difficult for everyone else to grasp everything then if you're getting new instructors every time. So this time we're actually going to try and just go ahead with a normal instruction level where I'm going to kind of teach you guys some of Spring Boot. There might be a slight change though, in the same time though, where we're going to have it be kind of a mix though. I still want to have some of you guys teach a little bit. And so like the TAs, for example, like what some of the days might be is I'm going to be out as an assignment or a project or a challenge for the day. You guys are going to attempt it. You're then going to take a survey saying how difficult it was. And then those who ranked it as not difficult will assist or help the ones who said it was difficult by walking them through their code. And so the whole class as a whole will help those who struggled with the assignment to finish the code so that you guys can hopefully understand it. With the ones who struggle with the assignment being able to say, yeah, I struggle with it. I would like some help with it. And then you'll share your screen and the TAs with alongside those that rated the assignment as easy will be able to help you through that to hopefully help you understand it. And so this is a new process we've always been working with the new cohorts with to see if that works with them. And it seems to be working well. So that is another kind of system we're going to be bringing in to see how that works for you guys too. See if it applies to the advanced topics, or is it just a new topic system that works? So we'll see. Well, we got some, it's definitely gonna be, this is the first time I'm getting into Spring Boot with you guys alongside. So when we get to the Spring Boot project, where we build a website together, that will be me kind of doing it the first time on my own with you guys. So it's normally what I would do. Yeah. Normally what I would do, Mike, is I would code it once myself to make sure, can I build it? And then I would have you guys see what I built. So maybe this time, yeah, I'll go at it blind. We'll give it a shot. That could be fun.
I mean, that's typically
Embarrassing.
what we're doing. So I feel like watching someone like you do that would be pretty beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, but we don't usually do it on camera.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's Cliff we're talking about. Come on.
Well,
No, you're gonna see my awkwardness. Just the idea of it makes me nervous. You kidding me?
Yeah, but consider it's just a mob session. You're the
True.
driver, and you
Yeah.
be working. And
Well, like I said, this is something I guess I can defend you guys for. This is going to help us defend you. Part of the reason why I am the way I am in class because I have the confidence I haven't done it before. So it allows me to be a little more extrovert during class, during my teaching, because I'm supplementing my introverted fear of teaching you guys with the confidence, like I've done this at least already once. So
I mean,
it masks the
with that
nervousness.
logic, you've made programs from scratch before, right?
I have.
You should be confident. Come on, Cliff, you're the man. So if you got that, you could do that all day.
there's a difference between an abstract idea and a concrete idea when you're presenting something, though. I'm only taking Cliff's side with this because I did this for 2 weeks in cohort 15, just jumping in and having to remember JavaScript immediately. And the first 2 days of that was me coding something live on camera, being like, "Oh, that didn't work like I expected it to," and then just sweat pouring down my face.
Yes, but that's like
Hello.
That
Sounds like you can hear.
that is such the life of a teacher.
Hold on.
Oh,
Oh, man.
Oh, jeez.
We got
Close enough.
Shut the camera
Code
off.
Olympus.
Gotta stop the camera. This is getting too feisty.
What's going on, guys?
hey, Arnett.
Hey, Arnett.
Hey.
Hey.
Hello.
Smoking cigars.
From here, it's not even
I will
lit.
just let you know for the record, Arnell, you are being recorded at the moment. So
Whoops.
as long as he's aware, I don't mind.
Wait. Ready?
Oh God.
What the?
Losing it. It's all good.
Everybody.
No,
Man, it's like, what is going on?
Ben Hogan golf fans.
Dolphins.
Oh, you guys thought I was mooning you. No.
Like, what is going on?
Hey, guys, I have to steal Matt for a little bit. He'll be back.
Sounds good.
Hey.
Good.
We just witnessed a kidnapping live.
Yeah.
A little bit. No, yeah, we can try that. We can try that out. I'm interested in it. Give it a shot.
Yeah, but Cliff,
I hear distant screaming.
If it doesn't go well, we'll of course end that and I'll go back to plan stuff. As if me doing that does not benefit you guys. So one thing we'll do in that situation is, of course, I will be getting your feedback on it, on whether or not it has been helpful or hard to follow. Because sometimes trying to follow me figuring something out can be a little tricky because one of the things I know I do, and this is something that I did get feedback from previous cohorts when I did try that once, is that I'll go into debug mode and I'll suddenly start switching through screens quickly because I try to solve things and it can dizzy some people. So part of if we do decide to do this, when we get a bug, I need you guys also to help stop me from doing that debug mode where I try to fix it myself and not really walk through the process. Because that was something that I was having a problem with. I would go off on a debug phase. I would flip through screens, like doing this. My monitor not doing it. So like this, flipping back and forth. I don't have more monitors right now on this, but yeah, I'd jump over to the browser window, do some searching, jump back here, run some quick tests. So if we decide to do that, you'll need you guys to help kind of slow me down and make sure we do more walkthrough of the fix. Make sense?
yeah.
All right.
But
And then-
this has happened before, though. The code's blown up before.
what was that?
The code has blown up a couple of times while you're
Yeah.
doing your thing. You've managed to fix it and go through it. So
Yeah. And like I said, at the end of those classes, I'll get feedback from you guys in a private kind of way, so you can let me know, are you benefiting from it, or is it harder to follow? So we will definitely break that down and decide moving forward what we want to do. We want to keep working on a, I've not planned this before, or are we okay with it and seeing my process of how I go through it? We'll definitely try it out. I'm open to testing it. As nervous as gonna make me. Gotta fight that nervousness.
It's not nervous, Cliff, it's excitement.
I never said it wasn't exciting.
What are you talking about?
I never said it wasn't
Abject
exciting.
Yeah.
That's why you gotta reframe it.
Helps to have a lesson. Anyone that has experience in teaching knows it helps to have a lesson plan.
It does help. Doesn't mean it's impossible though.
Yeah.
I have some experience in teaching kickboxing, and I've done just on the fly compared to like having planned out what you're gonna do. It's a big difference. So
Interesting. Yeah. No, I'm definitely open to trying it. I'm just
That's why we have a plan of attack.
Yup.
Yeah.
well, I'm not saying no plan of attack, but I'm just
Yes.
saying
We'll agree to
well,
plan
it
of attack
doesn't
together
have to
though.
be like a big project, just something simple, just to kind of
Yeah.
see like
The process.
what.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We maybe
like
do
the
that with an
process.
algorithm. We might try that as well. So we can only do it with an algorithm because that could be interesting too. But anyway, let's get back to this.
And
So
just for aesthetics, if you want line 38 after player, put a space. If you want to like have space, player 1 space.
I'm around with player 1, we 1 word. That's usually, I think that's usually how it shows, doesn't it? Or what do you guys want? Space or no
I don't
space?
care. I was just pointing it
I'd
out.
say it's space.
Space. All right. We can do that. Works for me. All right. So what we want to do next, of course, we want to start switching over some of the items away from player to using players. So we're
You
going
don't
to
need
comment
line
this out
24.
for the moment to start seeing some of the changes. You can see all the red. First in play round. Well, remember our little code up here. Let me move this down a bit. Because that method's fine. This guy's fine now. Move it down. We see that we need to ask how many players. We've done that. We add the players list. We've done that. We'll figure out the order. We have done that technically. Multiple bets, multiple turns, multiple wins. We also don't want to do multiple rounds, but for the moment, we can do a single round with multiple hands, right? We start with that. Single round, multiple hands. Sound good? All right, so a new round, we create a deck for the round. We shuffle said deck. We then do the player.place bet. And this is where our first item is saying, hey, we are now not working with a single player. We need to make sure we do multiple players, right? So how can I switch this already with this one?
Don't you have to go to the list?
You have to use the list. Yep. So we have to ask every player for their bet, right? So how can I do that? And again, I want to avoid the players array. Remember, this player here is a hand. It's not a player. It's a hand, not an actor. This is a hand. So I want to iterate through what technically?
It's gonna be hand.player, no? Because the hand
No.
has a player.
Again, that's probably my fault for naming this player. Player up here is a hand. See here? So player, hand. Anywhere we see a player, we should see this as a hand.
Yeah, no, so yeah, so just for a placeholder, you could just do hand dot get 0 just
I can
to,
factor
because
that.
that would get your first play. I wouldn't iterate through it, obviously, but just for people
Yeah.
to get to understand what we're doing.
Yeah, I could always, if it gets to be a problem, we could always.
Hmm.
Second. All right. We can do, yeah.
But I'll do a for in loop to be able to go through, to loop through the,
We'll move through all the hands, right?
yeah.
We could do that. Right. Come on, there we go. So for hand, and we could call these player. We could call each hand a player, right? And hands. It's a little different, and I don't know why I typed the word in. Oh, I know why. I dabbled with Python yesterday. Yeah, Lane, I dabbled with Python
I've
yesterday.
never dabbled with Python, but I've
that
typed
looked
in before.
That
What was
looks
that?
like Python.
I said I've never dabbled in Python, but I've typed the word in Tableau before. For the same reason.
Yeah,
Maybe too, Mike.
I can see that, especially because I say it.
That's pretty cool.
Which is why we like Python. That's
It
the
probably,
part Python
honestly, it probably
likes.
wasn't Python that made me do it. It probably was the fact that I just said for player in hand. So a player in hands, and again, you can always change it to hand in hands. It's fine. Whatever makes more sense to you. But by doing this, we can pretty much reuse this code, can't we? You know, just move this up here, and now it's technically gonna work, right?
Yeah.
That's a nice little benefit for us. We then want to deal. Well, we might want to check on that code, huh? Deal did what before? Deal does what? What does deal do?
I'm being quiet.
Thank you, Jim.
It asks for it gives you a card,
Who's you?
the player.
Well,
Yeah.
how many players do we have now, though? So right now, our deal is probably dealing to a single player, right?
Well, it was dealing to the player and the dealer, right?
True. Do we think that this is already updated now, or do we need to go check it?
We would run it and see if it breaks.
Right now, it won't break anyway because of these already. This is already going to break. So we could go check to see if there's any red player in it, right?
We would be stuck.
Right. So we could do a safe thing and go look at it to see if there's any red players, right? Because if there's any
Okay.
red player in it, then we know there's a problem. If we go and there's nothing red in it, then we might be safe. So let's go take a look. And the best thing we can do, of course, is on Mac, we can use command click. Does anyone know what it is on Windows? Control click? Okay, cool. Control click on Windows, command click on Mac. You click on it and it's going to pop you to that method. You can see here, we have a red player. And so we're dealing to the player individually. And so what we want to do, if we remember correctly, how do we deal to the, how are we dealing the cards again? Let's make sure we have our sanity check in. So annotation. We have our little half moon here. Dealers here. We have a single player here. How are the cards being dealt right now?
First to the dealer, then to the player.
Dealer. How many cards? One card, two cards, what?
One card
One
for
card.
the dealer, then one card for the player.
Then one
And then
card to the
one more
dealer.
card. Yep.
All right, so we got that. We want to make sure we update this in a way that we're going to do the similar thing with multiple players, right? So we got P1, P2, and P3. We'll make sure we do the same thing. So we want to do dealer 1, 2, 3, dealer 1, 2, 3. So how am I going to update this guy? I'm going to update this
Oh, it's gonna need a loop.
loop. All right, so we are in a loop already, so we need another loop inside the loop, right?
Yes.
Right.
Just on the players, not on the.
Right, we want to keep the dealer outside of this loop, right? Okay, that makes sense. What's our loop here? Which one are you using
I
again?
think I want to use a while.
The while what?
While while, because you want to say while there's a
Hand player in hands.
You can do the same loop we did before, right?
Yes.
You want to
You
do
want to
four.
go through each player, right? Or each hand. Hand, player. And I almost did it again. Nobody saw that. And again, just move that up one. Look at that. Now our deal method seems to be happy. That's looking all right. All right. Let's do this now. So we see after the deal, we have the display table. Let's fix this one, and then we can try running it by commenting out everything below this. We can comment all this out, and yeah, all this we can comment out so that it doesn't run, and we can bring the player class back. And the player variable field back so that it doesn't error out that we don't have a player field. And that should allow us to run the program. So let's check this display table. Same thing like before. We're looking for the red player. If we see a red player, then we know it's not going to work. Ah, there we go. We have a slight problem, don't we?
Yeah.
So here, I think before we mentioned we want to do what our layout we wanted was it to be dealer, card 1, card 2, and then players is going to be, what was it? Or player.
It's like player 1.
Yeah, how do we want to display this one? We can do player 1 like this. Card, player 2, card 3, card, which doesn't look great right there, but I don't need you guys for the moment. Let's get rid of you for the moment, actually. There we go. So we kind of want the thing to display kind of like this, where the players are on a single line, right? We could start with this, and then eventually, if you wanted to, we could also try to convert it to do something like this. This is going to make it a little harder. Two. Card. So let's do another little critical thinking here of like problem solving this and thinking about this. If we were to do it this way, what are some of the issues we might run into?
Alignment.
That was nice and quick. Thank you. Does anyone explain what Elaine means by alignment? She's 100% right. What does she mean by that, though?
If one player has too many cards, it's going to throw off all the other cards.
Yeah, they have too many cards. We know that each card takes up how many characters?
Two,
In my
three.
situation? Yeah, 3 characters in. So we got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And as soon as we add a second card, a new card, a third card, 1, 2, 3, we're now already past the player name. And that's us using a static player name of player 1, player 2, player 3. What happens if we get rid of that system?
I put my name in as Madam, the winner of all the games, and it's going to take up the whole line.
Right, and so later on, when we also change up how we display names, it's going to play more with alignment. So we're going to use the other system, but this is, again, a way to improve your version of Blackjack. So I want to give you guys these things that you can look at as ways to expand on Blackjack and then make Blackjack your own. So if you do like this project, if Blackjack's a game you enjoy building or enjoy working on, I want to show these ways that you could upgrade your system while still showing you the problems you're going to run into. So how do you make sure you align these systems? That's going to be your biggest challenge there if you decide to work on this one.
Isn't using like /tab, /t actually formats to some degree because
It does. It adds a tab, but it
It's not
still only
perfect
works. Yeah, not perfect. Because it only moves you to the next tab location, which is 4 spaces over.
Yeah.
But if you're already partially taking up a bit, it doesn't move. If you're only 1 space away, it only moves over 1 space. So it's not a perfect item, but it does help. And if you're with the every 2 cards, 6, that takes up a 1.5 tabs is what's taking up every 2 cards. So it messes with it, especially if you put too many tabs in place. So it's a tricky one. So we're just going to do the other layout that we had, which is going to be dealer, card.
Are we having a maximum of 3 players, or is it a maximum of 4 players?
Maximum of 6 we have.
Oh, 6.
We put 6 as our maximum. Player 1, then their cards, then player 2, their cards, player 3, their cards. Again, in this case, we're going to get away with this because we do have the static names of player X, so it's perfectly fine. And we don't care that if they go over, they then move to the next line. That's not that's not something we have to worry about ourselves per se. All right, we can always make it also, we could also set it up that if we really wanted to get technical with things, we can do 3 players on one line, then 3 players on another line if we want to do that later. But that's, again, that's an add-on you can bring in later. That's not part of the MVP. For the MVP, we're just going to print them all on one line. That makes sense? So let's think about how we kind of update right here. So I think if you're looking right, I think if you look at this line looks fine. Is this line fine, or does this line need to make changes?
I think it's fine.
Yeah. How about this guy? We definitely need to change this because we're currently using player.getName. How do we want to change this though?
We need to loop
You use
again.
the same loop.
Yeah, let's go for it. Or player hands. I'm gonna bring this up, but is there anything else I need to add? Compare this to this. Right here. Anything else I need to add or change on it?
Do you have to add maybe a tab or a space because they're all gonna be
Probably
running?
doesn't hurt. Yeah. Probably doesn't hurt to add like a spacing, yeah. And you can do a space, pipe space. Everyone should know what the pipe is, right? That's our OR symbol. space pipe space, and that'll do this to our printout. All right, that looks good. So now, like I said, we're gonna go ahead and do a slight little change to our system. We're gonna comment out these lines here. We don't actually want to run the game right now. We're gonna bring back the player fields if the other functions or methods don't yell at us. Oh, just for the record, by the way, it's no longer yelling at us for output. It is telling me that I shouldn't concatenate in here though. So it wants me to do this.
I don't think it matters, but can you concatenate right after the display hand with the string instead of using append? Can you use that at all?
I'm not sure what you're saying. Hold on. What do you say? What'd you ask?
So after like on any line 75 or 73, instead of adding another append, can you just concatenate that new line?
Unfortunately, no, they don't like concatenation inside of a string builder, especially if you're doing iteration. Now that we're doing iteration with this system, they don't like concatenation.
Oh, okay.
Because if you look back, I had this one here where I was concatenating just an empty string here, and look what it's telling you. Saying, don't do it.
What is the rundown? Is it just saying that that's not the best thing to do?
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not the
Okay.
most efficient system. Yep. They recommend just appending everything. So
Oh, okay. All right. Never mind. Cool.
that's how they recommend it. So this would be the ideal way of typing it. Of course, you can send it, but just be aware you're going to get that little yellow thing. But notice again how it's no longer telling us we shouldn't use string builder anymore.
Okay.
Remember how last time it was telling us that? Because we didn't have the iteration. So string builder is really meant for iteration. If you're building a string through iteration, it recommends string builder just to improve performance. If you're not iterating, then go ahead and just concatenate. The performance you're getting is not there. If it knew that we were probably only doing this maybe 4 times or 2 times, it probably wouldn't recommend to use string builder anyway either. The idea here is that the main thing that the constructor or the compiler doesn't know is how many times this loop is going to occur. And so we're hoping that the overall benefit, because the iteration using append is going to benefit higher than the concatenation. So,
I've been using it too when you want to like change, if a string is changing constantly, you can use the replace method.
Yep, that's what they do recommend that too. Yeah, I can see that. Good. So now we have that. So we've commented out all the parts of the game. We just want to display the table, knowing so this way we can test: do all our players get 2 cards? Right. Standard deck. Good. So we're not running any of the other methods, and we brought back the player field so that those other methods that are using it aren't using it. I'm also going to remove my line 24 nums, by the way.
Yeah.
We don't need that. So let's see if this works. We should be asked how many players and what we're going to bet. And then we should play I got a single table dealt. So how many players? Since we're not actually going to play, let's go ahead and get all 6. We just have to put 6 bets in. But let's see if we get 6 players plus a dealer. 200. Well, okay, good. Forgot what was that. There we go. Let's take a look. No, that's not what I expected. Oh, I see what it did.
I literally added 1.
Calculated 1 to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where was that? Where did I do that again? Oh, you're here. So it did not do the math actually. It concatenated these with strings because it went left to right. So it did player plus count first. And so count became a string, and then it did player index plus 1, which then of course turned into a string. So how do we change this to get it to print right?
Could you put count plus 1 in parentheses?
That I could. Let's hope someone else, but yeah, that is true. Yep, we do this. That way this runs first and it sees 2 ints, and then it'll do math first. And then it'll do the string plus int and do int to string. That should fix it. Let's see, we got 3 ace for John Wick, our dealer. Player 1 has an ace king, so he's got a blackjack. Our player 2 has 2 queen, 12. We got 12 again from player 21. Player 31 has 12 again. With 3 12s right here already. What the hell? And then we have a 16 and an 18. But that looks like it worked, didn't it? Look promising, huh? Not bad, not bad. All right. Let's clean up my annotations here. Don't need those anymore. Let's go back to what we're doing. We're going to go ahead and we're going to re-comment out player so you get our red alerts again. Let's bring back this code. So the next thing is, while it's the player's turn, we're gonna keep going. But before we do that, and we're also gonna display the hand when their turn is over. We wanna make sure we do a turn for every player, right? So how can we update this to make sure every player gets a turn and we display their hand at the end of the turn? How do we update this? Somebody other than Mike. Not to pick on you, Mike, but you've been good for answers today. I like it. It's good. Don't worry.
Someone other than me.
Oh yeah, and Jim.
Elaine's doing pretty well.
I am doing pretty well. I'm following
yeah.
and fixing things as I mess them up.
Mhm.
But I forget the question I was writing.
All right, these two lines here, right? These two lines, we want to do it on every player again, every hand, right? Bleh. How do I do that?
So
So
we
we got
want
these two.
another, we want to put, it's already a while, isn't it?
But what is this while doing? This is an empty while, right? So what is this? What's the purpose of this while again?
Well, a turn player. Turn. Oh, that's allowing the player to continue to hit.
Yep, or keep their turn going, right? So this
Yeah,
is
until they,
while
until they,
it might be nice to rename this is turn, right? So while is turn player, but yeah, that's what this item is doing. This displays their hand at the end of their turn. And just for the record, so if anyone's wondering why what it wants me to do here, by the way, it wants me to do this. That's what it would prefer, just so in case anyone wants to know. So this is kind of the thing it wants to have. It doesn't like empty while loops. It makes the code nervous. Put it simple. It makes the system very, very nervous to see a while empty loop. So this would be the item it wants me to create. If this makes more sense to you, by the way, we can definitely keep it like this and make Java happy. But I also do like showcasing that concept that we can have an empty while loop. What do you guys want? Want to get rid of the alert, or are we okay with the alert?
I think you should leave both in so it could be demoed that both are acceptable. Or both
Done.
would work.
well,
Both
don't
work,
we
yeah.
have to make another loop to,
Yes, we do, Lane. Yes. Can
It's a-
someone else tell me what the loop is again?
oh,
So now
for,
hold on. Someone else. I
Oh.
know you've already told me that before. So now we
For the
got Jim,
players.
Elaine, and Mike now are good. What?
For the players.
Ah, yes, 4 players again, right? That same one we've been doing the whole time so far. Stay with me, people. Or hand player hands, right? Same exact thing. Move that down, and now the code seems happy. Next thing we do, of course, is double check turn to make sure turn is happy, right? Let's just make sure. So I'm gonna click on turn. I got nothing red here. Why not? So I'm gonna explain this, make sure it makes sense. Why is this one not need to be changed for our multiple hands?
Only working with one hand.
We send it a hand to work with, right? We already give it a individual hand because we can give it either the actually in the original. And if you think about before, we were sending this both the player and the dealer. So this was already handling multiple hands, right? This method was already designed to handle more than one hand and only work with a single hand at a time. So it was already meant to do that. So that's why this one's fine. And with that mentality, we can assume that all of these are going to be fine too, right? If turn was designed to work with an individual hand, with one hand that was sent to it, regardless of what it was, we can assume that all these methods here are going to be done the same way, right? Is that a safe assumption?
Yeah.
Keith is nodding yes, good. Awesome. Let's head back up. Happy. We also want to put the display hand up, so we display the hand one time. And I'm also going to do this. So this way we can just enter, no matter what they enter, it's fine, but if they enter nothing, we're good, right? That's what this guy's gonna do. This is gonna get us a string, but it's not required. They're just gonna hit enter to move on. Sound good? We'll let the dealer go. We're gonna display the table again, and then we have to determine winner. Well, let's take a look. Let's look at, so we already know we updated display table. The dealer is turned, so that's fine. That's gonna be fine. We don't worry about that. The players. Let's take a look at determine winner. Yep, that's got some red in it. And we want to change this. Any ideas? There's two ways we can change this. Any ideas? We can say what the two, and instead of giving me code, you could also let me know like an idea of how to change this for now.
I think you want to wrap that whole thing in a loop.
What, determine winner,
Declare.
or like all this in a loop?
I think the whole thing in a loop.
Right, so we might write the whole thing in a, anyone know what the other option is?
I have an idea.
Over 2 seconds. Who's I, by the way?
I is Mike.
Okay, cool. The square didn't pop over you, so I'll make sure I heard you right. I thought it was you, but yeah. Any other, before Mike gives the idea, any other ideas of what we could do? And again, don't feel yourself restricted to what you see in my screen. If you think that the solution can come somewhere else in the code, like higher
What
up,
if
we do
you
that too.
what if you create a method that does that?
Do you have a method, right? That's this guy.
Well, could you make it like a method for each one of those steps?
That seems a little annoying to do that. Good,
Right,
but
okay.
I don't know if we need
That's
to do
why,
that.
that's why I get annoyed all the time.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to do that. That seems a little annoying to break that up for that reason. That's getting into the realm of like, are we over methodizing?
Can you change the signature to take a parameter?
Ooh, I think I like that one. What are you thinking? What's the parameter you think, Travis?
You would pass the hand in.
Oh, right, I have to pass the hand or hand player. Right? If we think about the name of the method, it says determine winner, not determine winners, right? And so we could pass a single player each time to this to make sure it handles that player one by one, right? That makes sense? And so now where does the loop actually go then?
In the hand, in the hand player thing.
I mean, wouldn't it go here?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm getting in over my head now.
Because we need to now update determine winner, and we need to give it a hand, right? We need to update this line here that takes it. So technically, we have to give it the player we want to determine who wins, right? But now how do we update this line? As well as this technically. So we could run these two, right? The same thing we did with these two, we could do with these two, right? Or we do the same thing? All right. Got that. Let's take a quick peek to the right. Is there any more red? I don't see any more red on my right, do you? On the sidebar here. Scroll, if I undo what I just did, by the way, just so that you know what I'm talking about. When player was red here, if you see over here on the right-hand side of my scroll bar, there's the two reds. So there's lines showing me that there's red somewhere in the code. That's one of the benefits here. So you can see that there's other spots that are bad.
I don't see any more.
So it seems to be telling me that it's good to run. Let's try it. Let's see if it actually is. So now this time we're actually going to play. So let's do 3 players. All right, who's playing? Who's player 1?
Jim.
She's getting faster than you, Jim. Are you taking her up on it?
Yeah, she's gonna be the second player.
How much are you betting, Jim?
I'll bet 500.
All right. Elaine, how much you betting?
200.
Who else is joining in?
Henry.
Come on, someone else. Don't let
Me.
them. Who's me?
Me.
Oh, Freddie.
Me is me.
How much, Freddie?
2.
Why does that not surprise me? All right. So we got John Wick with a 10-5. Let's see. Jim has an ace-3. Elaine got a jack-4, and Freddie has a queen-5. And we can confirm here. We're now player. Oh, we notice here that this isn't telling us what player is up. So that's something we might want to add. But you see here we got the ace-3. This is player 1. So it's gonna be Jim. Got an ace-3. What are you doing?
I will hit.
For 1. All right. Ooh. We did not keep going. Why? What? Why did it end the turn? Did you bust? No, you didn't. Why did it end the turn?
I think it's because of where you press enter to start next turn.
Oh, yep. No, it shouldn't, because this shouldn't have ended. The turn should have kept going.
So if you
Right?
press
Oh,
enter, it should keep
no,
going.
I know what I did. It was
Oh, I
true. So the continue turn break, and so it broke out of the loop. So if not turn break, right? We're gonna reset that because that's a big bug there.
You're gonna give me
turn
bad
was-
cards now.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
we're getting
rigged.
bad cards now. So 3 players. Elaine, Jim said 500. Elaine said 200, and you said 2.
Oh, ooh.
Jesus,
man.
Jim,
I'll
what are you doing?
split.
Note that you can't double anymore.
I
by that,
know.
though.
Down here.
The problem is our split doubles, so
Yeah.
I totally screwed you on that one.
No, I knew. I kind of knew
You
that when I
shouldn't, you
said
shouldn't
that.
split on tens anyway, because it's a low chance of getting a better hand than 2 tens.
That's true. Good point on
Yeah, I
the
would have
logic
got.
there.
I would have had a 15 on my split.
Yeah, you would have. Damn, that was not. That would have been fun. So let's see,
You got those
Elaine,
20.
Jack Queen.
I'm
Notice
gonna
how it's a song.
Stand.
You're gonna stand. All right, Freddie. Oh no, that's not you. Freddie, you got a 17, a 6.
Standing.
And you, they has a 19 right now, just so you know.
I'll double down.
Your whole
Double down
4,
at $2.
you are ending with 13.
That's great.
So let's roll it up quick. Let's take a look. So 19 stand, player 1 busted. So player 1 got nothing. And actually, I think you lost all your money. Yeah, you did, because you doubled your 500 bets. So you have nothing left. Elaine won with her
I won
20, got her $200 back. And Freddie lost to the dealer, so he lost his whole 4 coins. That seemed to have worked, didn't it? That work?
Yep.
Seems to have worked.
Nice. So we have a game now that, at least for a single round, lets us play, doesn't it?
Henry.
All good? So now we just need to do a single bit of an update now. Now we can try to implement the whole split system.
Just a quick question.
Go for it.
Is there a way to, since you've added multiple for in loops, they're all the same. Is there a way of actually removing that and doing it like in 1 or 2, or refactoring it to a smaller? Of that?
Not quite. What we probably want to do now is take some of these items in this play class that was small before and put these into methods now. So now we can, of course, do private void get bets and move all this there. That way we can simplify our system. Void turns or player turns. There we go. So we take all this, cut that out, cut there, that there. And then last but not least, unless the last one I would take out would be end round. There we go. End round. There we go. And we just take this out of there. So there's no way, like each of the loops are independent on their own, if you know what I mean. Like we can't put the end round stuff into the same loop because we have to run the dealer in between them. So we
Okay.
can't put that in there. We could, of course, change from player's turn to just turns and move both the player and move the dealer into there as well if we wanted to. So that is an option there. But what we
It
can
just
do, of
seems
course, is ensure that our play around system is just a control method. So it just goes through and tells how the round runs, right?
Just
The
sometimes I
last-
see like multiple code, like multiple four inches. Like, can I just refactor that and remove a lot of it and just be
Yeah.
able to reduce the force? But I guess sometimes it's not possible.
Unfortunately, no. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. But there's two more things we're going to do to finish this up now. One, handle split. Move player 0 or quit. Sound good?
I need a second. Could you scroll down just a little bit
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I did those a little fast.
to
My
catch
bad.
that? Yeah, the end.
Yeah. So we got those there. There we go. Play around, get bets, player turns, and end round. I'm going to give a couple seconds for this. I forgot I did those a little quick. So yeah, I'll give a second. Just did some refactoring to clean it up. That way our display round is nice and it shows that control method. So now play around is once again a control method that just says do this, then this, then this, then this, and run these items one by one. And just controls how the flow of the program goes. We're saying, you do this, let me know when you're done. You do this, let me know when you're done. You do that, let me know when you're done. You do that, let me know when you're done. And so it can run each task one by one in the order it's required. That's kind of the mentality of the play around. Each of the methods actually does that behavior. So if we ever want to change how we're going to get the bets, we can go straight to get bets. If we want to change how the player turns run, we can go to player turns and update that. So if we want to display it differently, display different information, all that fun stuff. If you ever want to change how the end of the round is processed, how we want to process those things, we can go to the end round method and update that system. So, which we may want to do one of these. As saying, so as you guys are typing up, like I said, the last two things we want to make sure we handle is make sure we handle the split system and remove players from the game and then end the game if there's no players. We could also put a system that we can, at the end of every round, we can just quit the game overall. So we can always put that too if we want, instead of waiting for every player to quit.
Okay, I'm caught up. Thank you.
Cool. All right, let's start with the split. So how do we want to do split? So split does what? Again, if we want to think about it for a second. Good. All right, I think annotate. There we go. So let me go our bigger table this time so we can really fit stuff this time. So we have our player, we have our dealer hand, player one's over here, player two's over here, player three's over here. And we can always fit a couple more if we need to, but let's say player one wants to split. What actually happens here?
One hand turns into two hands.
Right, so we take this card, we move it over to here. We get two more, another card here, and another card here. So we think about it, we do, okay, so we have our hand. We need to take card 2, or index 1 really. Take card 1, do another hand, add the card, or give it that card, and then draw twice. Draw for each of the two hands, right? One, and draw, and 2. So those are the things we need to make sure our code can do. So first things first, let's look at some of this code. Are we able to take a card out of a hand? Do we have that capability in our code?
No.
I don't remember seeing that.
Not that I know.
Doesn't sound like it, so that's something we have to check on. So we'll put a question mark. And I'm actually glad some of you said you don't know. So I am happy to hear some people like, no, we don't have it. And some people like, I don't think so. Yeah, maybe we do. Maybe there's some logic there that we can utilize. But at the moment, we're like, I'm not confident I can do this. Do we know we can add a card?
Yes,
Yes,
Do that. Do we know we can draw a card into the hand?
yes.
yes.
Yeah, we are able to do that, so we can do that stuff. So this is the item we need to check on. Everything else we know we have the logic for. So this should be know there. We definitely need to check on this and maybe add this logic. Everything else seems pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So let's go to the drawings. All right, let's head over to our hand class, which I closed out because that was one of the ones on the side. Let's do a look. So we got display hand, and none of them work. Get value, and then it's just going to get us the score of the hand as a whole. We have a get action, which that's from the holder. We can get the size of the card list. Doesn't help us. We can get a bet from the holder, place a bet from the holder, get the balance of the holder, get name of the holder. We can ask, are we allowed to split? But that doesn't really split. We can double the bet and we can pay out. So it seems safe to say we can't take a card out of a hand, can we?
Mm-mm.
No.
All right, so we need to do a move and method. What's the signature for this one? I'll do the first part, public. I'll give the start out item, so not remove hand, sorry.
Card.
Thank you.
Lord.
I'll give you that, but is there any changes to the signature I need to make?
You need to give it a parameter of a hand.
Are we in a hand?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we're in the hand class. So nope, that's not it. What else we need? Is there any changes to the signature we need?
You have to get the card.
It's an index.
Ooh,
Oh.
what card do we move, right? Index, yeah, that could be nice to know which card we want to take out, right? Yeah, we could do that. So we do index. That's not bad. Any other changes to this? Jim, what did you say?
I was just saying card, but I like the index because the index is
Okay.
technically the card.
True.
But technically, wouldn't it always be the same index? Because
this
on a
system,
split, you're
yes.
always taking the second card.
True, yeah. And so, yeah, since it's a blackjack hand, we could just assume we're always taking the second card. So index isn't necessary, but it can feel good to have it. So it's your call. It's you guys' call on this one. We can keep index or remove it. Yeah, we're only going to ever use this if we're splitting. So, but at the same time, we could also potentially reuse this later on to clean out a hand if we needed to. But we might do another method for that, maybe.
Do we need to know which player?
Again, we're in the hand, so I don't. Oh, we might need to know which. Well, no, because we have the player in the hand. Doesn't the hand have a player?
And has a player.
So the hand knows who its owner is. So we would be able to assign that player to the new hand, wouldn't it?
But
Yeah, I think
I'm
so,
confused.
yeah.
Why don't we need an index?
Because again, since this is a blackjack hand, we're only ever going to take a card out of the hand in order to split, right? Is there any
Right.
other time in blackjack where you're taking a card out of a hand?
No, but you still have to identify you have to identify a card. You just can't randomly say, well, I'm taking a card because it
But
doesn't.
it's always going to be the second card because
Yeah.
it's only going to happen when there's two cards.
Always going to
Right,
be index
but-
one. Always index one, right?
Yeah, I guess, or index 0. Yeah, I guess either
Yeah.
one.
Well, you're gonna take one.
True, yeah. So it could be index 0 or index 1. Yeah, it doesn't really matter which one, but every time we do it, we're going to take the same number, right? That's why we're arguing that you may not need it, but it can be nice to see that we're taking index 1. So this is again where I'm like leaving up to you guys what's going to be more legible, easier for you guys to follow. So I'm going to leave it for now, but yeah, you guys can probably remove it later. Any other signature changes? Are we good with this?
The other thing too would be is adding the index there would avoid magic numbers by putting like 1 or 0 into the method.
Yeah, it would remove the magic numbers from this method, but we'll have the magic number in table.
So yeah,
One will show up somewhere.
yeah,
Yeah, 1 or 0 will show up somewhere. So
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So again, that's why I'm saying it doesn't really matter in this case. We're either going to put 1 all the time out there, or we're always going to put the 1 here. So it doesn't really matter. It's not a big issue.
When we need the bet amount?
We do need the bet amount, but again, who holds the bet?
Okay, just making sure.
Yep, no, these are valid questions because it's good to make sure everyone else knows this to make sure they're aware. We do need the bet for a split, but again, where are we? We're in the hand, and where's the bet? The hand holds the bet, right? we have the bet, we have the player. These are great questions, actually. So
This is probably good to point why we're using the hand holding the player, right?
it's probably starting to hint a little bit why we're using the hand to hold the player right now, right? You're seeing that the hand has all this stuff we would need for the split, right?
You're removing the card, so you're gonna have to return something because you're just right now you're just removing it. It's going nowhere. It's just going right out into space.
Because we're going to need to take that card and put it into the new hand, right? And I don't think hand's going to create it because hand can't add it to the hand list in the table, can it? So we're not going to create a new hand here, are we?
No,
what's that?
no.
I will say, just for the fun of it though, now that I think about it, and this is me just thinking for a second, could I possibly return a hand with that new card?
Yes.
And then I can take that hand in the table and add it to the system and draw a new card into it. So I could do that because then I have, as you guys mentioned, I have the player already. So I could do that. So there's two options to this. One, remove card can return the card it removed, and then table can take that card, create a new hand, and deal 2 into it. On the second item I could do, I could also create a new hand in here and return the hand that already has 1 card in each, and then the table just has to deal 1 card to each and just adds the hand that was returned to the hands list. Which one makes more sense to you guys? We want to return the card, and which one makes more sense compared to the name of the method? Which one makes more sense?
Return the card.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking hand because we don't really use the card individually. We're using hand majority through the code.
Yeah, and hand has a player, so.
Yeah, we should be able to access that in the table, wouldn't we? Again, this is something that's really interesting about this. There's no wrong answer here. Both are valid. The one, like I said, the main argument for card here would just be the name of the method. It's called remove card. And so that's kind of the biggest hint where it might be beneficial to return a card, because you say remove card and you get a hand back. It's like, that's not what I was expecting. I wanted to remove a card. Why did I get a hand back? Right?
Well, yeah, no, I agree with that too.
So, yeah, if we wanted to return a hand, I personally would want to rename the method personally. So let's go this round. But again, by all means, try out the return hand version, and I could always make that method so you guys can see what it looks like. So we can always create a. This is how I would do that one. I'll do this method as that way. So I'll create both so you guys can see both then. Actually, that's kind of nice because I was going to do, this is the one I was going to do from the start anyway. And then, yeah, you guys kind of helped me think that, oh, this is actually possible. So the remove card one with an index, what can I do here? How do I do this one?
Well, the thing you have to do is now you have to deal a new, you have to get a card from the deck because that's the deck card. Oh,
No,
oh,
we're
wait, you're
taking-
removing the card. Oh, you're just removing it from the player's
Yeah.
hand
Yep.
and making a new one.
Yeah. And in this case, we're going to take that card and send it back. So we're taking the card out of the hand and sending it back, so that the table can then take that card and create a new hand with it. That's what this method's doing. So, just to clarify,
So,
take card and index.
well, then see, that's the whole
And-
thing though. It's like you would have to use the active hand in order to take the card.
Again, where are we right now?
And we're in hand.
Yep. So we have a cards list, don't we? So what am I doing here? What's my code? How do I take something out of a list?
You use remove.
Cards dot remove.
Right. Let's take a look here.
You can
So-
return cards dot remove.
And that's why, because so I'm looking at here, I have 2 removes. What are the difference between the 2? So removed, if I give it an object, what am I going to get back?
Boolean.
Anyone want to take a guess what that Boolean might mean? You know, this Boolean is true or false. So why would a remove an object return true or false?
If the object's not there.
If it was accessible or not, right? Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, remove something, yes or no. Did I remove it or not? If I remove an index, I can get the card back. Why doesn't this one return the object? Return a card. Any idea why it wouldn't return the card as well? Why does this one return a card, but this one doesn't? There's nothing. There's
Probably
no
already
real-
have the card where it was called.
Kind of, do you see what I mean? So that's true. Does anyone understand what that means? What he means by that?
No, could you say that again, John?
Because you probably already have the card where it was called, because you're passing it in to the remove.
What is, if I was to remove an object, what object am I giving this?
The
Give
hand,
it the Card object. If
I
Card
would
you,
give it the card object that I want to remove. So why would it give me the card that I asked to remove, right? I already have it. So a little bit of just logic there. It's like, I don't need the card back because I gave you the card that I want to remove. So I already have it. I don't need it. I just need you to let me know if I did it or not. If I give you the,
Oh, I
the
see.
index, I don't have the object. So maybe I want it too. So I'm giving you the number of what the one I want. So maybe I do want it. I might not, but at least this one makes sense to you. Like, you know what? Here, I'll give it to you if I did remove that. So make it index. And as you said, yep, we want that card and we know it's going to give it back. So we can just return this statement. Since we know this is going to return the card that it removed, we can then just return that item. This version, what we can do is do cards, remove, index 1. And oh no, can't do that yet. Hold on. So why wasn't I going to return it right away? I need to stop myself. So actually, no, I'm going to do this again. So I was about to just correct myself because I realized that this line isn't going to work. So this is me, as you see. So this is me actually doing kind of what I mentioned. Like I'm figuring this out as I go because this was not something I was going to code before. So you're seeing me type something, and as I was typing it, I realized it's not going to work. Can anyone explain why this isn't going to work? What was I going to type here? How do I finish this line? Let's finish this line of code here. What do I need to put inside a hand?
index, the index, no,
No,
the
it's telling me what
player.
it wants.
Actor.
Yeah,
Oh.
so holder, right? Yeah. What's missing here right now?
card.
Yeah, I didn't give it the card, and we have no way of using it. And there's no constructor we have that I can give it a starter card or starter cards, can I? So I need to be able to do what? How do I give this hand a card?
You need to create a new hand, then you need to add the card to the hand.
Right. So that's what that's what dawned on me is I remembered our hand class doesn't have a way to add a card. So I remembered that. I'm like, oh, I need to do add card. So I can't return this right away. I have to make a variable so then I can then run the add card method.
You can't just do dot add card after that.
Nope, because add card doesn't return the card. The add card doesn't return the hand. It's
Oh,
gonna,
okay.
you'll get back the return result of the method, not the actual hand. So, nope.
I figure you can chain them together, but I guess that doesn't work.
And dot card. And if I want to do this case, I can actually simplify my code by just doing that. I don't need that line anymore. There we go. So those are the two variations we have. We have the remove card method that actually takes out a card and returns it. So we can then do something else with it. So that the person, so the system that called this can do something with that card. Whatever they want to do with it, we don't care. Here's your card, have it, I'm done. This method, of course, is doing the very specific system where it's going to create a new hand for the player of the active player, that is because I'm the one doing it. It ensures that this card is being used for this player. We add that card to the hand, and then we turn the hand back to the table so the table can do what it wants with that hand. We go back to table.
It just seems like, I mean, I realize everything's kind of built like good, but that card thing, it just seems like it could be exploited in, I don't know, just stupid way of exploiting it. Like I can give that card to you or another person.
Yeah, and that's something I'm going to show here. Yeah, I was actually going to show that. So split, if I remember correctly. Split does what again? What are the actions? What are the behaviors of split? What does it do?
You get two new hands. Or yeah, you get
Step by step. Break it down for me.
You take the card, you make two new hands, and then you put two new, and then you deal two cards on top of it.
second hand. Yeah. And that it?
And then someone else can take the rest of it.
What else?
And then the player plays the hands.
Missing one thing. There's one thing missing here.
To match the bet.
Oh, the bet.
There it is. Yep. Match the bet. So we haven't done that yet. And now that I'm looking at this, so everybody realizes it. Now that I'm looking at this, I realize that I have a slight issue with my system at the moment. So this is why I like doing this, because this has now hinted something. So I know I can take the card out of it. And I know I can make a second hand by using one of those two methods we just built. So with those two methods, I can do these things. And I also know, because of my add card method and because the table has access to the deck, I can easily draw a card into each one of those two hands. That's not an issue for me. But now I got to think about matching the bet. Do we have the logic for that? Well, what methods do we have for bet that involve the betting? What kind of methods do we have?
We ask for a bet from.
Right. We have a way of asking for the bet, but that's going to use the console, right?
Yep.
We don't want the player to be able to enter the bet for the new hand. It's supposed to match their existing bet, right? Do we have a way of doing
I
that?
don't know, we put
You
that
can bet.
we put the bet somewhere, right? Because.
It's in the hand, yeah.
It.
Yeah, it's in the
But we
hand.
do have get bet though. We can re-get that bet that we originally made, right?
Okay. Well, yeah, we do have get bet. Now, how do I attach that bet to the new hand?
Can't you just look at the existing hand and get it from there?
We can, yep. So yeah, that's what Jim was saying. I can get the existing bet, but how do I make sure I put that bet on the other hand? Because in order to add a bet to another hand, I need to do what to the player?
Don't you duplicate the player?
Yeah, you can clone it.
No. I hit it. No, not quite. So
Mm.
You have to take from the player's balance also.
that's it.
Ah,
We have to make sure that, yeah, so I can definitely get the bet from the original hand and apply that to the other hand. But if I don't take that fund from the player, they're not actually putting the bet on, are we? Technically, the bank's putting it on. The casino is giving them that extra funds. And so why would they ever not split?
No, but
Free
I thought-
hand, right?
Well,
Just like, yep, go for it. It's like
I thought
free
we were
bet,
going-
free double.
Yeah, no, I thought that's what we're going, I thought we were going to put a like the double to make sure that we could do that. We could actually do the split with the current.
It does
bet.
check that. Yeah, we do validate that the player has enough. We have to make sure we actually take it from them when they do it. And so
Right.
there's again a couple things we can do. The main thing that I'm realizing though is I don't think I have a way of just
Hey, Cliff,
assigning a bet.
isn't that what double bet does though already?
Kind of, it does double the bet on that one hand and takes the funds out of the player. Now, how do we make sure that we can take that bet that's now doubled, cut it in half, and apply it to the two hands? I'm actually thinking that your guys' version of this method might be better, huh? Because it doesn't make sense to do that here, does it? Splitting the bet in half and applying it to two hands, can we?
no, that seems
But it
crazy.
would make sense to do that here, right? The split hand method is literally doing that. It's doing the split hand method of blackjack. And so we could totally do that here, right? Take the active bet, cut it in half, and give half of it to here. So we could do this, right? Let's think about this for a second. We can do active hand dot double bet. We can do hand, new hand equals active hand dot split hand. And what we can do here, we can add to this is bet equals, oh yeah, bet equals bet divided by 2. I don't have a way of setting the bet, do I? Oh, no, yeah, not of a hand that I don't own, right? I have a get bet, don't I? Wait. Why was I, wait, why can I access dot bet? What? Oh, because that's, no.
You bet at the top as a.
Isn't that
Private.
It's because you're in the hand though, right?
True, but again, I'm accessing a different hand, a different instance. I'm accessing this hand which is a separate instance. Is it because it's the same class? Ooh, is there something that behind this that I don't know?
That's what I thought. That's what I meant by you're in the hand class. I thought if you're in the class,
You
anything
can
in the
access
class
the
has
private
access to
method of
private.
another hand. An instance of the hand can access another instance of the hand because they're both hands. That's useful. I wasn't 100% confident because I hadn't figured out a scenario where I could actually test it. But it appears that yes, because hand is an instance inside of hand, I can access a private field. And so I can set the bet of the new hand to the bet of the existing hand, which I'm doing that because I already cut it in half. So let's keep in mind again the flow. So before this happened, what happened before this line was a double bet occurred. So we doubled the bet, right? That way we know, and we did this because we want to make sure we pulled that funds from the player, right? That's why we're doing the double bet method. Even though right here, we're now going to actually cut it back in half. We're going to recut that back in half because we already know we took the funds out of the player. So for a couple seconds, half of that player's money is now just gone into the ether. So we took it from them, we put it on one hand, we then took it away from them and just, it's now gone. And then we create the new hand and put it back on that new hand right here. Once we create that new hand. And then return the hand that has the player, the bet, and that one card that they already had. So I'm starting to think that this split hand method is actually going to be better than the remove card method now, which Jim, since you were afraid this one might be abusive, it was. So the point behind this is, yes, once I got the card back, the table can do whatever it wants with it. I could technically give that card to the dealer if I wanted, right? I could do .add card on any hand whatsoever. There's no guarantee I had to do it on a new hand that I created. So this could be abused, of course. This one, not so much. This one does exactly what we want it to do. It takes the second card, creates a new hand assigned to that player because there's no other way, another player that they could assign to it. Takes the bet, so there's no other bet it could assign, and then returns the hand ready to go to accept new cards. So I think this method is the one to go with. Are we feeling better about this one? I actually am surprised on this one. I did this one last time. This one's cool. Again, as you saw, this was me kind of walking through it. And so part of this again is just my familiarity with like code again. And part of this also is as you're coding something, you want to have in your head and try to be aware of the objects you're dealing with. So since I'm here knowing I'm dealing with my hand and my player and my holder, my hand and player classes, I try to remember what items I have available. And so I will say the more familiar you are with your objects, the more likely you'll realize that something might go wrong before you type it out. And so familiarity with your methods, with your objects and what methods are in those objects and following a certain pattern that you like to code in can be very useful. Like I know that certain things are private. I know that I don't create excessive methods or stuff like that. So I know it's like, I don't think that's available yet because I haven't done that before. I can very quickly say, I need to do X. I've never done that before with this class, so it likely can't do that. So this is why following certain patterns can be very helpful in your coding process. You can make these assumptions about your code before you even get to it, before you even finish a line. So you can see how I do that because I know the methods, I'm familiar with the methods, and I know how I code. I follow a very strict rule for myself that I don't create methods unless they're needed. In every method I create, every field I create is private, so I assume that at the beginning. Most of my methods are public unless they're used by themselves, then they're private. So I know these systems about my items, and I know that if it's an action that hasn't been done before, it probably doesn't exist. And so the more you get familiar with that concept of being familiar with your objects, and one thing I want to make sure is very clear, by the way, I don't review this code over the weekend. It's not like, or even for the past 2 days. It's not like I was familiar with these methods from 2 days ago, because I do take the time. I'm coding it. I do feel it's a little more stuck in my head. This is why I always recommend you guys like follow along with it, type along with it. If you can't follow along during class, try to code it yourself so that way these methods become more familiar to you. So you're able to think of those methods and those objects as you go along, so you can hopefully catch the issues you might run into before you even finish a line of code. So is that something you have to be good at? No, but it is going to make your life a little easier if you can't get to that point. Again, testing things through.
The other thing too is that these 4 lines of code, the bet, the hand, and the bet, these are gonna have to be put into the other one anyways, because this is what you gotta do in the first place. So
Mhm.
why don't you just methanize it in the first place, so you don't have to worry about it.
No way, table's not doing it, the hand's doing it. So this, I do like this method a lot, actually. I'm actually very happy with this method. This one's a really good one. So great idea on returning hand and not the card. So this one's a really nice one. I actually like this one a lot. Because now we can just go here and do, yeah, we just do this method here. We now have the new hand. And so we have these two are now done. We matched the bet. So actually these three are done. And now we're just going to do the second half, which is draw a hand for each, draw one card for each hand. So we can simply do active hand dot draw dot add card dot draw. Yeah, draw. New hand card dot draw. And there's one last thing I need to do. What is it? If I leave this method, what happens to the new hand?
You gotta add it to the list.
I got to add it to my hands list, right? Make sure that at some point the player does have to work with that. Last thing I'm going to do, by the way, just to make this a little nicer, is on the turn or yeah, turn method. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where's turns? Oh, yeah, there we go. Do this and then this out. Want to display the name of the player, so make sure we see the player's name first before we go ahead and have action, then or sorry, get action, show the hand, so we know which player is playing that hand. Let's see what this does now. I'm going to play one more normal hand, see if we get lucky like last time we get another split, and if not, we'll then use the rig deck to force a split. We're going to do those. I'm going to bring in 6 players. I'm going to have it. Six of you help me. So 6 of you are playing. Hopefully one of maybe we'll get lucky and one of you will get a split. All right. I'll let the last 3 play and 3 of you can join. So Jim, what are you doing this time? Actually, you know what? I'm going to put everyone at 200 so you can double on multiple times. So
okay, yeah, that's fine.
Everyone's getting 200 bet. All right, so Jim, you're player 1. You have a king 13. Actually, can anyone double?
We'll hit.
Nobody can double.
No, yeah, I'll hit.
And nobody can split. I mean, so we'll play through it anyway. Make sure we didn't break anything. You busted. All right, and I'm glad it ends your turn. So that works. Elaine, what are you doing?
I have Jack 5 hit.
All right. You got 21.
Woohoo!
I'm assuming you're going to stand.
I'm standing.
Okay. Technically, you have to make that decision. Player 3 is going to be Freddie. What are you doing? What's that?
Double.
Doubling up. Here we go. Busted.
Nice.
Who's player 4?
I will hit.
I appreciate you taking the 9. 18.
Stand.
I was gonna say you're okay. The dealer has a 12. He has to hit, and he has a good chance of busting. So, all right. Who's player 5?
I'm gonna
I'll double.
hear somebody.
I heard someone say double. Who is that though?
I'll double.
All right. I think that's Mike. All right. We got a
21.
yeah, you stop. Yeah, 221. Nice double. You got the 10 you wanted. Yep. And last but not least, player 6. Who's playing player 6?
Haven't heard much from Keith. Come on, Keith.
He plays already.
I already played already. What are you talking about,
player
Jim?
4.
Mind your own business.
I didn't hear your voice.
He's player 4.
I didn't hear his voice though. It just sounded like someone else. Usually I can recognize Keith's voice really easily.
Calling him out.
It's a targeted attack.
Henry.
Yeah.
So we got who's not playing yet? We got John, Sergio, Travis, and Cullen, and Eridan can play. Who's playing?
Me, Colin.
Oh, okay. What you doing?
Hit me.
All right, and you're out. Thanks for playing, Cullen. Let's see what happened. So let's see the dealer. Where are we? Here we are. So we hit for 7 and then we stood. Player busted. So Jim got nothing. Elaine won another 200.
I want to
Freddie
get
busted. Let's see. Keith did not win, unfortunately.
What did the dealer get?
Dealer got 19. Beat by 1.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's tough. That's close. Player 1. That was
Is that Freddie?
Mike. Yeah.
Who doubled?
Double. I think Mike did, right? That was you, right?
Yeah, that was me.
Yep. Like doubled, and then yeah, busted. Colin busted. So hey, at least we know the game works with all 6 of you. Want to try? We're just gonna hit play this time and see if we get a double. If not, we'll go to the rig deck. So 6. You got the chances. Come on. 6,
Ooh,
10, 5, 6.
I'll
4,
split.
9. Hey, you did get 2 aces. I've never seen it split on an ace. Damn. All right, there we go. Go for it, Jim. We did
Split.
get one at least. So
Check
we see that
double.
we.
Wait,
Wait, what?
You didn't fill in the code for
So
the.
doubles it.
Oh, double bet does that, I think. Oh, no, it doesn't. Wait, what?
No, because you're returning double down active hand.
Ah, dang it. So it still ran the double down. It did everything we wanted. So this is probably a thing. I think we display the table, don't we? Oh, yeah, it broke. It doesn't know what to do now. Of
Oh,
course. We're going to do this now. So
double
this is
aces.
return
oh,
false. Because the turn's over. So return false. We're done. So dang it. We lost our split.
Yeah, and it was double aces. That was a good one that you would try out.
Get in.
What type of exception was that? I've never even seen that one before.
I totally should have looked at that more. I missed
Third
it.
modification.
Congruent.
It's because he
Yeah.
was trying to change something while he was accessing it,
Jeez.
like change the list.
Yeah, you can't do that in a 4-in. You
Oh,
can't remove.
crap. So this is going to break again anyway. You're right. I can't modify a list if I'm doing a 4-in. Dang it. I forgot about that. That's one of those stupid things that Java does.
So I do 0.
No, I'm going to do this instead. Stop. I'm going to go ahead and switch to our rig deck. I'm going to do a single player so I can show that what we're talking about. Yeah, I should have checked that error message before putting out. So 1 player. 2. That's the dealer I just remembered. Did I just type in 8? Yeah, I did. I don't care. There you go. So I have 2 2s, or John Wick does. Dang it. I keep forgetting that the dealer goes first. 1 player, 200. Dealer gets 4, 8. I don't know. I'm gonna get a 3.
2 aces.
8. Now we need that one because we're not gonna be able to do anything with it. Remember? So doesn't
No.
matter. I did 8 again. And this is the dealer again, so I'll give him a 2. Yeah, I'm gonna give myself another. What is it? 3 I did. Yeah, 3. No, dang it! Why am I keep doing? What? I lose my mind. 3, and then 4. There we go. No, what? I am losing my mind. All right. Remember, dealer
Do
first.
you
so-
numbers?
I don't know what I'm doing. All right, so this is the dealer. Give him a 3, a 1. I'm just do this actually. Nope, I just goofed it. Did I? We'll see. Hold on. Oh, I got it. Okay, go. So if I do split now, we'll see. Enter number. So I'm going to ask for a card again. I don't care. 1 or 2. Enter, and as soon as we get it, yeah, here we go.
Concurrent modification error.
Check for commodification. So the problem is iteration next. So iterator on an array list. So this is something interesting with Java that they do with lists and the 4-in. So when you're doing a 4-in, you cannot modify that list. So during the player turns, when we're iterating the list, and because of the split, we could this list of hands could change. We could add items to it or even remove items from it. Since during this process, this can be modified, we're not supposed to use a 4-in. We have to use a for loop. Because we have to reevaluate the list to see if there are new items in there. So all we're going to do here is do a quick little change. Switching it to a standard for loop. So int count 0. Size. And then make my life a little easier, I'm just gonna do hand player equals and get. I'm gonna do the same exact thing. So one player, 200, just make sure it works. 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. Go. I'll split. 1, 8, 2. So I have 3 hand 5 now. This is one thing I did wrong though. So what's it saying there? What should I have done, by the way? What's wrong with this?
It's not your next turn, is it?
Right, I should still be able to play this hand, shouldn't I? So after I double, I should actually still play that hand that I'm still currently on, right? So how do I want to change my split again? What do I need to change here? What's wrong here?
You want to do a while until it's
You
changed?
want to return true, right?
All right, the turn's not over, right? So I want to say true, my turn is still on. I'm still gonna go forward. So let's see if I get the second hand, but let's enter. So hey, take a look at that. There's my second hand, my 3-8. So this now seems to work. So now it's allowing me to add more hands. So that's a little quirk of Java that I totally forgot about, but I'm glad we did it because it's good for you guys to know that that thing exists. Because you're right. I think Cullen, you're the one who said that. That error message is one that's hard, that isn't common. It is good to be aware that if you're going to iterate through something that can modify a collection that will be modified, either things will be added or removed, you want to make sure you avoid the for in. So there's another reason for actually going with a for loop. And that's another reason you can give during the interview if someone asks, why do you use a for instead of a for in or for each? Because this list is going to get changed. This list got modified and it'll crash if I do that.
Now, just for another one, you can actually use the iterator and actually say if it has next, then do something. If it doesn't have a next, then stop doing something.
Okay.
That's the other one you could use, but iterator is interesting.
Yeah, that one I'm not familiar with, and I'm not going to recommend it. That sounds more fancy.
I've used it when I was doing my scraper. I had to iterate just because I didn't know where the fields were. I didn't know anything. I had to iterate through it. So just to know where the list began and where the list end. That's like when you don't know what you're getting, but you know you're getting multiple stuff. You just don't know what the beginning or end is.
Cool stuff. All right. I think we got that. So now let's go ahead and run one more actual 6-player game to see if this all works. And the last thing we need to do is just handle is removing a player. Yeah. Do we have time for that? Let's see, what time is it? Oh, it's already 9 o'clock. Damn it. Oh, where's Arnell too? He was supposed to join in for the students. I don't think he joined in for them yet. They still waiting on him. Let's find out. Here we go. So where is it? Nope, they left already. All right. We did meet with them. Maybe I just remembered. Arnell, I think, is a co-host on my meeting, so I think he can join in without my requirements. He totally could have snuck in.
He still has Matt kidnapped though.
What's that?
He still
yeah.
Matt's still kidnapped.
He is. Yep. All right. So we'll do a partial. Let's do. Problem is, if I try to put in the round turning without removing players, you have no way of actually ending the game at all, unless one player does a quit and we exit the game. So if one player quits, the whole game ends. We can implement that for now, and then that way we can implement rounds that can be repetitive. So let's do that for the moment. We'll do that for now, but then we'll want to change it later to actually remove players. For now, we're just going to go to quit, which is right here, and we're going to. What is it? System.exit or something like that, right? Or is it just exit?
What?
System.exit.
It is system.exit. Okay, I thought so.
System.exit. And with the code number, yeah.
0 or 200.
They don't allow me to do that. Fine. All right, these are return of items. Private, Boolean, quit.
Why doesn't it let you do that?
It wants a return type, even though it doesn't, even though it's going to quit. It doesn't seem to care that it's going to quit. It still wants the Boolean. So.
Oh, I see.
This is weird, but whatever. It's happy, even though it's not going to hit this. I don't know why it wants it, but it does. So here you go. Have it. Be happy. Java can be weird sometimes, but you work with what the code wants. So you got that. That all seems to be working. So let's go ahead and scroll up. How do we want to? So now we have to be able to add. So now we want to play multiple rounds. So that means this needs to be repetitive, doesn't it? We want all this to repeat every single time, don't we? So we need one more method, don't we? What are we going to call this one? We're going to play multiple rounds. What are we doing? There it is. Yeah, play game, right? We're finally ready to do the play game method. Going to be the basic thing, while true for the moment. Play around. That's it. Until one player hits that 0 on their turn to quit, we're going to keep playing the round. Eventually, what we could do is change this to while hands has anything we want to quit out. There's still one more thing that I want to do, though. There's one more thing that I need to show and test off, though. So we quit for a second. Let's hit play. When I put the 6 players in, there's still one more issue with this. So good. Oop. Oh, dang it. We're not doing that with the rig deck. No way. My finger's gonna go. My finger's gonna fall off. I have to type all those cards and keep track of them all.
Everybody gets aces.
Okay. Jim, let's see, hold on. I'm just gonna quit the game and restart it if we don't have a split.
Quit.
Well, I guess we don't have to go.
Player 4 has queen jack.
That's a soft split. And we checked for a hard split, remember?
So
I guess we could play the round though, because I do remember we are repeating, so we could just play another round. You want to play through one, and then let's play through one to make sure this still works. Make sure that everything still works.
But you have it set up right now that if I just quit, those
The whole
it's gonna
game
quit the
ends.
whole game. No one else
Yeah.
gets to play.
Nope.
Okay. All right.
12, what are you doing?
A hit.
Yeah. All right.
Stand.
Elaine, what are you doing?
I am hitting.
And all right, you survived. 18. What do you want to do?
That's
Stand.
player 1. That's me, isn't it?
What?
That's player 1,
Wait,
yeah.
how?
Player 1.
Oh, you didn't die either. Oh, I thought you stood.
I did stand. How come?
What?
You
I was
never
like,
hit the
I'm a player
buttons.
1 again.
Oh, I hit. I did hit. And then I hit instead of stand. Okay, my bad. So that's still Jim.
He
Right,
told
yeah.
you stand, but you
Oh,
went
standing.
to the next person.
You
Yes, I
thought
did.
you went to the next person.
I thought I did. All right, Elaine, now it's your turn. You have a 15.
Hit.
All right. 17. Jesus.
Stand.
All right. We're totally wasting our time because I just realized John Wick has 21.
Yeah.
Oh,
I quit.
Freddie, what are you doing?
I
13.
quit.
Zero.
Zero.
If you quit, that ends the game. So you're
Good.
standing then.
Just quit it. It's already 21.
We're gonna go to the next round then. Let's see.
I
Player
thought
four
quit was
was
supposed to
Keith.
make the
Yeah,
player walk away from the table.
we wanted to. It doesn't do that yet.
Hit. Oh,
Trying for the ace.
yeah.
I think 3 of the aces already out though. We probably should at the start of every player turn to display the table again. So maybe here we move this into player turns at the start of it. Maybe we'll see that.
So
Well,
when
it
you're
shows the dealer's hand. That's all that really matters, right?
Hold on. Yeah, but what was it, Keith? That sounds
oh no, I was just
pudding related.
I just remembered that you don't play with one deck of cards at the casino.
Nope.
I mean, like, wouldn't it be the best to be in the last position to see everybody's cards?
Oh,
and
yeah.
you know how many cards are out.
Yup. Which is why if you ever do go to if you're ever a card counter going to the casino, yes, you try to sit at the last table, and that's why a lot of casino
The last
places,
position, yeah.
they'll switch left to right. The one round they'll go left to right, the next round they'll go right to left.
Oh,
That's
I
why they
never noticed
switch. Yeah, they'll do that once in a while. Not all do it because it can be confusing sometimes with a poor dealer, but if you're trying to avoid card counters, that's what you do. You keep switching the direction. That way the card counter only gets a benefit on the round that they are the last on. So they'll switch usually you'll see a card, if it's a place that always plays the same direction, the card counter always sits in the last seat. If they're a place that keeps switching, they always sit in the middle seat. So they always try to identify those people. So they monitor those people that sit in the spot. So some casinos actually will do it when they go the same direction every time. So if anyone does sit in the last seat, they watch them to see if they are benefiting as if a card counter would. They'll monitor that.
It's going like this.
Yes. You
That's
never want to do
if I was
that.
trying to do it.
That might be slightly obvious. What were you gonna say, Mike?
Casinos have a little marker that they just move, and that's where they deal from.
That could be too. I've seen that too. You're right. Yeah, they'll change. They'll have like the blind that they use in like poker. They'll use the same thing in some dealer places too. Yeah, you're right. They do have that too. Yep. They have lots of techniques to try to prevent that kind of stuff. So, let's see. Player 5 was no, that was Mike.
I think that was me. I'll hit.
Cool. 17.
I'll hit again.
I'm gonna bust. All right, there you go, Cullen. If you're there, I'm gonna step to hit. All right. Hey, you gotta at least push. We can test the push at least. There it is. Push. Cullen got his money back.
Nice.
Oh, the prize, the thing still exited. Why did it exit?
Yeah.
Hold on. Why did that happen? Thought I put in the code to say, oh, because I know why. Anyone know why?
I don't think you ever implemented that method.
It's gray. Play game.
Oh, back to me.
Let's try that again. Let's see if we can get it naturally. We'll do 2 rounds and see if we get lucky. So everyone's betting 200 so everybody can split. And
I'll
next
hit.
round as well. So what's that?
I'll hit.
Before you go, let's see. Does anyone have a split?
Oh yeah, I can split.
Yeah, yes. All right, there you go, Mike. You're ready for that. So get ready for that. But yeah, you're gonna hit. Okay. 13, and our John Wick has 17, so he's got to stand. But you have 15.
Yeah. Yeah, might as well hit. I mean,
And he has to, so at least you know that. All right. Elaine, you have 12.
Hit. I'm hitting.
Hit. All right. You have 14.
Oh my God, hit.
21.
Woo!
Yeah, the 21's all night.
All right.
Really good playing.
Freddie,
Hit.
11. All right. 17.
Stand.
All right, he's gonna push. That'll work. All right, keep.
Stand.
All right, Mike.
Split.
Thank you. All right, your new hand. So we can see that this is the new hand now. We have a 5 ace now instead of the 5-5. So this is the new hand with the same hand. So 16 now.
Yeah, you could double on
I
this?
guess I got a hit.
You can double on the. It's the first turn of this hand.
Okay.
You can
so-
hit, yeah, because he has a 17. Yep, and you are safe. So hey, there you go. You can push. We can try again. You still have you have 2 aces right now.
Okay, I'll stand on that one.
All right, he's gonna stand. All right. 13.
Player 6 though.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. Cullen goes first. Yep.
Oh,
Did I get my second hand?
You'll see. Hold on.
Wait a minute, that's not how
All the way at
casino
the end.
works, does it?
It doesn't technically, but again, I didn't want to get into splicing, but hold on. Patience.
Oh.
Cullen.
You can just hit me.
All right. Oh, jeez.
Hit me.
So now here, take a look. Player 5, back to player 5. So how our system currently works, because we simply add it to the end of the list, any other players that still have to go will go before the splitter takes care of their second hand. So no, this is not how it's done in the casino. And this is another one of those features that I'm going to leave for you guys that you guys can work on later on. Can you find a way to splice this into the list right after the current player? So can you figure out how to do that? That's going to be that can be an upgrade to this system if you want to. This technically works. It's fine. And this could be a nice way of saying everyone gets to go first, and then the splitter gets to go and finish their second hand. So that way every splitter then goes second. So let's say, so if multiple people split, if player 2 and player 4 split, player 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 will go, then player 2 go, and then player 4 will go on their second hands. And if they split again, same thing will happen. So everyone gets to at least finish their first hand before someone gets to go again. So that way everyone gets their turn in a decent amount of time. So it's fine. 15, what do you want to do? Not great
Double.
splits. Double up. All right. Yeah, not bad. That was a good play. So let's take a look. I didn't have the numbers, I just realized, by the way. So player busted 800. So unfortunate. Elaine won. Freddie
Again?
pushed.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, you got 21.
Yeah, Elaine got 21, yeah. Keith won. What was it? Mike's first hand pushed. Second hand busted.
I don't think that's my second
No,
hand.
that's not you. All right, no, that's Cullen, right? Cullen
Wait a
busted,
minute.
right? And then Mike's second hand won, and so now he has a total of 1,400 now. So that worked. Wait, what? My 1,400.
What's the 600?
Who was that? Wasn't that? I thought that was his, wasn't it?
Well, I
Nice.
bet
thought it was
200,
yours.
then I split. I think it took my total bet.
Oh, that was, yeah, that's before. So yeah, 200, then you got 200 plus 200, that should have been 400 plus your push, which is 200. So yeah, you should have, yeah, that's, yeah, you got 400.
Oh, right, because I bet 6 total, because I split
Yeah.
once, so that was 400. And then I
Yeah.
doubled, so that was 600. So when I
Yeah.
pushed, I got my 200 back for that hand.
Yep, and
And
then you
then
got
I
400
won
back.
400.
Yeah.
I doubled
Hmm.
400.
I think that's right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Oh,
I
yeah,
because I got the
1200.
200 back, so that gave me
Yep.
600, and then I had 400 still bet, and that 400 doubled, so that makes it 14.
Something we can check on later, but not a big deal. It seems like it works. So let's go ahead and we're gonna go again. So I'll let you guys now put your bet. We'll do one more round quick. So player one, that was Jim. How much you betting?
Just put 200 again.
All right, Elaine,
400.
Oh, see now, yeah, now the numbers are changed.
Freddie,
100.
Keith,
Mike. Oh, Keith, yeah, Keith.
1200.
You know you can't double or split then, right?
I
You'll be allowed
know.
to split.
I'm fine.
All right, Mike, 1,400. Yeah, up to
Bet 400.
400. All right. And Cullen,
I guess 800.
you're pulling a Keith. All right, here we go.
I bet $1,
Right.
Bob.
And now here is the slight issue. that I'm
Yeah,
expecting.
that's an issue.
Do we know who
Yeah.
this is?
That's again,
Yeah,
Mike.
That's
Yeah.
Switzerland.
So and that's why I want to make sure we did a second round on this. So this is the one last problem we're going to deal with tonight before we end, or I might give you guys this weekend to try to end about 15 minutes. I think we can pull it in. We're able to pull this out. Right now, when we do have a split, we add a hand to the hand list and that extra hand does not get removed, does it? So somehow we need to make sure we remove that hand. And if we look at our data that we have available to ourselves, so at the end of the round, we have to make sure we go back to only enough hands to cover the game. Let's go back to table. Let's go back to our fields.
Oh,
How can we make sure we reset to our 6 players or 6 hands to start, and make sure that those 6 hands belong to each of the 6 players?
well, the table,
Last.
table determines player count.
Yeah. So again, we have this, by the way. Well, hold on, player count. Where's player count?
Well, it's in the table, but I know we can't access it yet. We can't necessarily access the outside table.
We're in table.
I mean, in the public table, in the
Not sure what you're saying.
constructor.
Right. Uh-huh.
We have player
Okay,
count
yeah,
there.
player
but
count
we have-
goes away. Yep.
Yeah, so we don't really have access to any part of the rest of the
And
table.
just to clarify, these are the hands we have, by the way. Player 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, then 1 and split. We'll just say player 3 for the moment this time. So we want to make sure we remove this one. This is how the list would show up if, let's say, player 3 and then player 4 both split on the same turn. So this would be the hand list. This would be the hand list with the player numbers after, let's say, one round where both player 3 and player 4 split it. So this would be our list right now.
I would
How
move, but
come-
I would move line 26 and make it into a variable, make it into, bring it up to
All
the
right.
of it and do.
Could do
just-
that. Could do that. Any other options?
Or doubles.
Oh, yeah, remove this. Yeah.
I don't know.
Specific numbers.
So here's the thing is, so one, do we know how many, is there, with the current fields we have, do we know how many players we have?
Yes.
Yes.
The list.
Yeah, we have this guy.
Yeah.
So we have this guy, we can just do players.size. Now here's my quick question for you, because we did say, can we accomplish it without the player list? Is there anywhere else in our code other than the constructor that we're using this list?
I didn't think so.
You can double check by going to, or was it again?
And there's
Fine
one more
usages.
thing I was thinking we could do also.
Yeah, you can see we're not using it anywhere else. So
No.
I was gonna say Jim's idea, or was it Jim's idea to move
Right.
this?
Yeah.
Jim's idea to move this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim's idea to move this out kind of makes sense because then we wouldn't need this list at all, would we?
But there's one other thing we could do, couldn't we?
What?
We got hand, we can get names, we can remove, we can find how many player names there are and remove the extra names that don't exist, that shouldn't exist.
True, but that sounds like an O of N kind of complication, doesn't it? We have to iterate through the entire list. In this case, we could just remove as long as hands.size is greater than player count, right?
Yeah. We can.
What if a player left the game? No, I know we
We
don't
have
have
to-
that yet.
We would have to reduce our player count then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we could just do that then. So let's move this out. Of course, we can't do this because of this. This can't be done out here, so we have to do this. That. Bring that in, and then we now don't. We also don't need to add it to
Doesn't
the
that
player
need to be
now.
below the 4 in the for loop?
Huh?
The player count, doesn't that need to be below the for loop?
Why would we move this below the for loop though? Because wouldn't
I
that
thought
break
that's
the
where
for
you
loop?
took it out of.
Wouldn't we
maybe
break the
not.
for loop though? Yeah, because we use the player count in the for loop.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so that would break it. So we're gonna use now, we no longer need the players array here. And we no longer need the list here, as you can see. So now we can remove the list. And all we need to do now is at the end of a round, go down to end round. Where is it? Here we are. We're gonna say while hands.size is greater than player count, hands.remove. Size, do it.
-1.
Index.
So is that gonna loop through
Why
the
did
list of players?
determine winner?
Is that gonna loop through the list of players and remove anyone that's over the player count?
We're going to start from the end. Yes. So in this case, we look at this example here. So we have our, let's say our player count again in this example
Oh,
is
so go
6.
from the end.
Yep. And that's why we're going to size -1 because this is index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so we're going to say our size is of 8. We have 8 items here. Our player count is 6. So we're going to say, oh, okay, we're going to move the size -1, which is index 7. So that goes away. We then test again. Is our hand list bigger than our player count? Yep, we still have a list of 7 and our player count is 6. Remove the last hand again. We still have this, and note how we still have one of each player still.
We're back to the beginning.
We didn't accidentally remove an existing player. Keep in mind that if you do decide in your code to update the system to do the splicing system, this will not work. So that's your key there. You would have to update your system to remove duplicates, right? Which I will say, if you do splice it in one up to the other, so you have it like this, where let's say 3 and 4 split again, you would have 3, 3, 4, 4. You still could find, it's not a difficult algorithm to remove those two, is there? No.
No,
You
you
could-
just
it's a
look
pretty
for
easy way to go through, find the duplicates, and remove them. So it's not difficult.
That's in hacker rank.
Yeah, there's a
I
a
think
challenge to remove
they won't even
duplicates.
be-
Yeah,
That's on
Would
free
they be in
code, yeah.
order? Oh,
What's that?
sorry.
you'd have to put them in order. Yes, you'd have to.
I was
if you do
gonna,
this,
you sort them first and then just, if the next number is equal to the next.
well, this is the case where splicing it in. So this would be in the case, remember how you
Yeah.
pointed out that our current split system doesn't follow the current dealer system. So if you were to correct our split system to split that extra hand in
Yeah.
the right spot, it would look
No,
like
I
this.
get it. I'm
So
asking
they
what
would
the algorithm
naturally
is.
be sorted.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but then all you have to
Yeah.
do is look at what is the next
Exactly.
value exactly the same.
Yep. Yeah, this algorithm is not difficult to do. You would have to adjust it, but it's not difficult. So yeah, the only reason we have to do it this way is because we don't have them in order. So that's why we're doing it the way I'm doing it. So we're adding them to the end. So, yep. This in this situation, if you figure out how to splice the new hands in, you actually wouldn't need player count anymore. You would actually simplify our code where player count wouldn't be needed. So this would simplify our removing additional hand system. And then we wouldn't need this anymore.
I think
We
it's
only
called,
need this because of how we're adding in the split hands.
I think in Java it's called insert instead of splice.
You're right, it is. Thank you.
Or
I'm just
it
used to
threw
splice.
me off when I was learning Java again. I was like, where is splice? What is going on?
Well, you're right, because I remember myself doing that. I had to Google what's the splice, what is splice in Java.
Yeah.
Yeah, I distinctly remember doing that Google search. And yeah, I haven't used it enough to actually remember that is insert, but you're right, it's insert. Like I said, yeah,
Can I see end round again, please?
of course.
You got,
Yeah.
you got two,
Sorry.
yeah. You got an error up on that, on the constructor, you need to add a semicolon.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Hold on.
And the other one was that int, you might want to add a private to that.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
I will do that in a second. Yep.
Oh.
Sure, I'll catch up on this. So I will say though, there is one little bit of code left for everybody to do over the weekend. One last bit of code for you guys to work on. Well, two things you can do. There's one that you're required to do, and one that you will. Well, actually, no, we're going to do both. We're going to do both. I think it's doable. We're not. Well, make the second one.
Still have an error in table though for display table.
I do. It's in the constructor.
Yeah, I'm all set. Thank you.
It's the semicolon.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Well, you said I'm missing a semicolon. That's going to cause an
Yeah.
error in the whole thing. So.
Okay. I thought I saw
And-
another error down below when you were going through it. But I guess not.
All right, so the two things that we're gonna do, well, one's required, definitely one's optional. The required one, the one I'm gonna challenge you guys to try and do, this is one we wanna have for Monday so we can try them out. I want everyone to come up with their own actor. Be as complicated or simple as you want. So create an actor. This actor just has to make sure, again, it has these items here. Has to be able to handle these methods, and as long as it can handle those methods, the actor will work. As long as at some point your actor must run the actions in a way that'll end the turn, of course. They must either hit or stand, and they cannot use quit. I'm going to tell you that as a rule for my code. Your actor cannot use quit. I will be checking for that. You should never return quit on me, because otherwise I'm going to exit the whole game right now. We haven't coded a way to make sure quit only leaves that one player. So there's that. So we're going to do that. So get action. Yeah, these are the three items you need to be able. These are the items you need to be able to bring in. I'm going to allow. I'm going to make one final change for you guys, though, to make things nice for you guys here. Table. Because I know the card counter needs to be able to look at the table and be able to get the value of all the cards on the table so they can know what's going on. They need to be able to access the cards or read the cards off the table, but I don't think they can with what we built. Yeah, I don't know card counter. Card counter is going to be very, very difficult to implement because we don't have access to the table. At least do this.
But can you, is there some way we can make a pass through to make it to be able to have access to it?
Yes, but I don't have time to code that today. So if anyone wants to do that, you can, but it won't be, I won't be able to use it that technically. So I'm going to update the system in this way. Actually, hold on, I can do this faster this way. Oh, no, not that. That's not what I want.
Can you make it overload with another one?
No, I don't want to do that either again. Hold on.
You could change signature.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I just did the wrong thing. That I want to do this, right? Okay. There it is. Okay, I clicked the wrong field. Type. I should update dealer. Yep. Let's see, so upset that. Oh, because we were calling it somewhere, right? No, it's fine. This. Oh, this is the pass through, right? So yeah, this and then, all right. So I do have to update this as well. So then this gets dealer. So the hand class, we just update this to make sure it accepts the dealer and then passes it through. That way both the dealer and the player now get that. So now dealer and player will both get that. To get players now happy. So players happy. Why did you still upset though? All right, so that, yeah. So player and dealer both have it angry because in the table, we do this, we now just got to send it to the dealer. So there we go. So now in your get actions for the player or for your actor, for example. So the actor you create, you have access to your hand and the dealer's hand. So you can create any actor you want that can act based on what you have and what the dealer has. So now you can create actors that can act based on the dealer, not only what they have. So currently in our original system, the actor could only act based on what they had. That was it. By this slight change, I now made it so that an actor can act on either on what they have and what the dealer has. At some point, we would want to maybe add a hand list where they could then see all the cards in hand, but being able to give that without giving access to modify those hands or modify the cards. That's going to be the trick there. One thing we could add, of course, into the system is to give out is to create a method that can give out the card, that can send the cards to them so they can see them but can't do anything with them. So it's something we have to be very careful with because we just return a list of cards. They could do hand.add and add the cards to their hand potentially. So we have to be very careful on how we do that, and I don't have time to be able to implement that today. So for the weekend, your challenge is to make an actor that 100% can just be based on their own hands. You don't have to utilize the dealer anyway. You can just make decisions based on what you have. And that's going to also be based on their bets. So these actors should be fully automated. That's the one thing I also want to make sure it's very clear. They should make all the decisions automatically. So this will be based on your logic. So that means their bet must come automatically. They're going to get $1,000 to start. So give them the same thing there. Give them $1,000 balance. That's fine. So their bet should be automatic. And their action should be automatic. Make sense? So they should be logic-based actors. Like I said, because of this change, you can make decisions based on what the dealer has and what you have. All right.
Ooh.
So have fun with that. See what you can come up with. Again, it can be you can base it entirely on how you process the game. So you can literally add yourself as an AI to our game. What I will do is throughout next week, as you guys are working on your projects, I'll review your actors, make any changes if I need to make sure that they will work with my program. And then we will play a game where we will have your guys play me automatically. So I will try to beat you guys. I will play with you guys as automated characters. Sound good? So yeah, that's your main thing over the weekend. The additional challenge, by the way, a small item for code. Where are you? And Blackjack payout. Add the Blackjack payout. See if you can figure that logic out. Add that to our system that it can detect and pay out a blackjack. All right.
Payout.
What's that?
What's that payout?
1.5, technically 2.5 with how we do it.
Oh, can you just add that in so I can so I'll know?
I can do that here actually. Yeah, that's fine here. I can do that. That's fine. Yeah.
Or
You
just
guys
like
gotta add the logic. Hold on.
Yeah.
You guys are just gonna add the logic to make sure it's detected.
Is blackjack anything where is it like a 10 and a 10 value and an ace so that you get 21? Or does it have to be a jack plus an ace?
Well, again, that's soft or hard blackjack. So in a hard blackjack, it has to be jack ace. A soft blackjack is any 10 and ace. So you guys can decide which one you want to do. I don't care on that. I'm not too picky. I like soft blackjack personally. I see any 10 ace as a blackjack myself. Of course, you have to depend on the casino. So if anyone here wants to follow strict casino rules, make it a hard blackjack. So you guys can have fun with that one. That could be up to you guys to decide. We have both systems that allow you to figure that out. So that's something you have the systems you need to figure that out. So at least I believe so. Yeah.
So So my actor can have like a notebook, like a hash map, and just record like all the winnings and figure everything out.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. Again, well, I don't know if we can figure out the winnings again because the get action. Yeah, because again, your actor can only have these methods.
Yeah.
So unless in one of these methods you can trigger those things, and yes, and you only have access to the hand and the dealer hand during the get action. They could track their winnings and say I'm winning or I'm on a winning streak or a losing streak. Totally could do that, I guess. But
Yeah.
I don't know if they could track like the results of every round because they wouldn't see the what other players won or lost. You don't have access to the table.
True, but that's what's weird though. I mean, technically I do have access to the table because I'm looking at everybody's hand and knowing what.
Right. Again, we would have to implement that in the system. We don't still have that implemented yet. I have it implemented where the actor can see the table.
Yeah, I know, I understand that, but I could probably, okay.
Yeah. It's not currently available. So it's definitely something we could make available, but I don't have time tonight to do that because we're already at 9:30.
But I could though.
You could, yeah, just be aware that if depending on how complex it is, I might not be able to add it to my system.
True.
Well, Cliff, you
If
don't
the
want
only
our
change-
you don't want our actors to have any extra methods, even though they potentially could, right?
They can have, again, if they do, you are accepting the chance that in the week I'm doing the checking that I might not be able to add your actor. So if you do add more systems to the interface or modify the interface in any
Oh, I
way,
see what you're saying.
I may not be able to add your actor and your actor may not play with us. If it's not too complex, I will definitely add those systems. And as long as it also doesn't break anyone else's. So if you add to the interface, I'm okay with that. If you detract from the interface, I will not take it, period. That's a straight crap out because adding things I can just add return nothing or return or those types of methods. So those are fine, but yeah, depending on how complex your item is and making changes to the actor, to any other files here, if you don't touch any other file, it's in, period. So that's the main thing I can say. If you don't change any other file in this system, you just give me an actor system, then that actor is instant, added right away. There's no problem with it.
Right.
If
I
you
was
make
just saying,
changes
I
to
wasn't
any
saying
other file,
anything about changing the actor interface itself. I'm saying for the actors that we create,
yeah, well, that's the thing.
we could add new methods to as long as we're using at least all of the methods from the actor.
Exactly.
interface.
Yep. As long as none of the other files are changed and any other classes are changed, then it's definitely being added. If you change anything else, it depends on whether or not I can add it easily without breaking anything. So if you do make any changes, be aware that I would have to evaluate it to make sure it will or will not work. Yep. Let's do this quick. Balance. There we go.
You can't do 2 times 5.
God damn it. Right. Hold on. Add balance. Where are you? Oh, right. I can do this instead. This is something we definitely want to do. Hold on. I meant to do this. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. Oh no, hold on. Yeah. Right. Yep. Oh, yeah, that factor, signature. Double. Good. Yep, that's fine. Because yeah, that shouldn't change anything inside of here. Because yeah, you can put a double. You can send an int to a double. So there we go. So that's it. So you're just going to try to add the logic to table to make sure this gets triggered when the player has a blackjack. That's what we're going for. So I might add it here. Yeah, to do here. I'm gonna add the to do here. No, it's not the first spot. Add logic game trigger. Yeah.
My actor just double down every single game. Even on a 20.
Sure. If that's what your actor wants to do, go for it. I'm fine with that. And then probably get your actor will probably leave the game pretty quick, but yeah. We'll probably okay. So there's that. So those are your two coding based things. Last thing you want to do the weekend is just pick your primary project or your backup project. So what project do you really want to work on, and what project would you be okay with working on too, if there's not enough people there? As I said before, Uno is probably the one project I will let the small group go in. So if there's only 1 or 2 people there in Uno, I'll leave it up to them. But of course, I will let that group stay small. With the other 3 games, if the team has less than 3 people, even 3 might be cutting it, I might tell that team to choose another to pick their backup game. So we want to make sure you have that support group.
Would
You
it,
have enough people to meet with each other.
would it be better to make a list of like the one I want to do first and then just go down the priority list and then you could just.
By all means, I'm okay with that. Yeah, if you want to
Yeah,
do the
you can just
whole
pick
select,
out-
I'm
you can, like,
yeah,
split it up.
I would be surprised if I had to kill 2 teams. So I'm fairly confident that having a main and a backup should be good enough.
Okay.
So, but yeah, if you want to sort all 4 of them, go for it.
Hmm.
I'm not going to stop you from that, but yeah.
No, but I
And
figured it would be easy just
at the
because.
same time, once you know what the team sizes and where people are, if that helps you to decide your secondary, that's fine too. I personally say you shouldn't pick your team based on who else is doing it. Because again, you do want to still create this yourself. But at the same time, I can understand that if you find that you do work well with certain people and you do want to work with them, I'm not going to say that that's not allowed. But yeah, the main goal here is make sure we have the right team size. So you have your primary and your backup. On Monday, we'll see what the teams are. I'll list everyone out. We can see if there's any teams that are too small, and I'll let you guys decide if you're going to use, depending on the size, like less than 3, I will make that team just change to a new project. 3, if there's 3 people, I'll let you guys decide if you're okay with being a team of 3 or if you want to get to a bigger team. So 3 is an optional dispersion, but less than 3, you're getting dispersed into other projects. But yeah, over the weekend, just pick your 2 projects that you'd be okay with working on. With that said, the last thing we'll do on Monday, by the way, is update this one last time to add the blackjack and let players leave the game. So that way we can do that. Cool. And then, yeah, like I said, over the week, you guys will do your plans of attacks. You'll start coding. And I said, either Monday or Tuesday, you guys will start playing the games that you picked. So that way, because I want to make sure you know your game that you're going to do. And on Monday night, I'd rather you guys first start coming up with the plan, see how much. I want you guys on Monday to challenge yourself with how well you know the game first. Before even playing it, you're going to challenge yourself with the game first, think about it first, and then play it together on Tuesday, and then see if you need to update your plan of attack at all. Make sense? I can't stop any of you from playing over the weekends. If you do, I don't care. So you do play the game you want to play over the weekend, I don't care. Like, I don't remember this game. Do I really want to do it? Fine. But again, just to make sure you have played it before you start coding it, we will play again on Tuesday. So that Tuesday into Thursday, you're making your final plan of attack. Sound good? All right. Then, like I said, so Monday, yeah, blackjack, leaving players, and we'll do one final refresh of all the items. Do we see a little better now why we used hands and having players owned by having the players owned by the hand a little bit? Do we see some of the benefits that we gained from that? And like I said, no matter what, we definitely can code this with the players list and having the hand owned by the players. It would have changed some things, would have adjusted some things. And for me, I feel like there would have been a lot more passing through to the hand, a lot more passing through to the hand in my mind, personally. We would have done a lot of player.hand. There would have been a lot of that, I feel like. But again, this I do like, I'm happy with it. And again, my main goal is to show you this different concept that a inanimate object can own something that we usually see as the owner of things, because that thing can talk to us. We're used to asking a person about stuff, not asking stuff about a person, which is something I like to kind of pull away from and kind of showcase that box isn't there, that the person isn't always the center of code. So a user isn't always the center of code. And I can guarantee you that's not how Facebook looks at you guys. Facebook is definitely not user. The users are not the center of their stuff. It's their posts, it's the tweets, it's that stuff. And then those items connect to the user. What you post is more important than you, because that makes up who you are. So I can guarantee Facebook, Twitter, Google, the user is not the center of the universe. They do grab stuff through you, but you are more of a, sometimes, a lot of times, depending on what they're doing, a pass through to something else, or they get to you through something else. They get to you through through your interests. So, sound good? Cool.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody, have a good weekend. We'll see you all then.
Thanks. You too. Take
care.
See you. It's uploaded in the branch, right?
Ooh, let me do that now, actually, while you guys are leaving.
So I
I'll do
can,
that now.
Yeah, the video as well.
Usually
I will get this
follow
one.
along as you're coding, but when I'm at work, I just
It's hard to. I don't
yeah,
blame
it's
you.
hard to. I take a look at the repository and follow from there.
I can't imagine, Sergio. I don't know how you keep up with it.
He does well.
When did Matt sneak in here?
Oh, I
No,
just
no,
stepped
no.
back. Don't worry.
He gets kidnapped. It's fine.
Got out of Arnell's trunk.
You're a little red, man. What happened?
Well, I had to outrun Arnell, so.
I don't think you've outrun him since you're still in the room.
Wake
Part
up.
of me tempted to run down there and see you guys. Now.
I don't know if it matters, but you're still recording as well.
I am? Oh, yeah, yeah.